Good morning. Good morning, one and all. And thank you so much for being here and this winter morning of Pune. And just want to introduce myself. I am Abhishek. I am Abhishek Sharma. I am the regional head for IIFL Home Loans Pune division. And just want to feel this honor to and make you people understand that why are we here. Why are we here? We are here to answer a few questions which we, on day-to-day life we come across. What's going on with the climate change? Is it that we get to breathe this good air, this quality air in future? Are we or our grandchildren, children will have a better environment, a clean environment here onwards? So to answer all these questions, we are here. We are here with Kutumb. Kutumb is an event which is conceptualized by IIFL Home Loans. This is to promote green affordable housing. So when we talk about affordable housing, green comes automatically. So it's about partnering with developers, partnering with architects, partnering with financiers, partnering with the local influencers, and promoting green affordable housing in the entire country. So we have this event which is having sessions. So we will be having 3 sessions, session 1, session 2, session 3, and we have guest speakers also. So be comfortable, please feel free. It will be an interactive session as well. So to start the event, I would like to call our zonal head, Maharashtra, Mr. Dhaval Mehta, to come on stage and felicitate our chief guest for today, who is Mr. Jaiprakash Shroff. Jaiprakash Shroff, sir, is the chairman, IGB. Sir is superb in implementing technical assistance. They are pioneer in skill development. So thank you, sir, for being here. And I would like Dhaval, sir, to please come on stage and felicitate our guest of honor. Please. Thank you. So, sir was the few of them who were on time at 10:15 sharp and have waited along for us. So, sir, without letting you wait much, we'll have your keynote. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek, and beautiful Pune morning. Punekars love it. Punekars love the Pune city. And of course, I met this young boy from Baroda, Nitesh Jain. Is he here? Nitesh, where are you? Yeah. And I'm so proud when I asked him, how come you're shifting from Baroda to Pune? And he says, when you come to the city, it embraces you. That's a round of applause for this Pune city. I think it's a beautiful city. So when a person from Baroda talks about the city embracing you in Pune, it speaks volumes. It becomes this, and it is the second most livable city in the country. Why is that so? And why and how is it happening is what we need to look at. But let me begin by firstly actually thanking all the IIFL people. It is Abhishek and Dhaval Mehta, and of course now we have Mr. Monu Ratra, all of you. An extremely different enterprise, and I started wondering when I spoke to Purva now, where she was here. Purva, you are the person who understands green buildings. Why me as the chief guest? And she says, JP, you understand business. We might be the technocrats who understand how to do it, but you understand business. And what is more important than just being a technocrat is understanding business. And that's where I thought, yes, there's a different angle of looking at why and how probably a developer can contribute in making something that is very necessary in this sphere of activities, that is the building construction industry. Let's look at IGBC at first. I know I represent IGBC. I also represent CREDAI. I'm on the managing committee of Pune. And very interestingly, I'm blessed being both places. Pune is happening, and Pune, of course, as you know, So IGBC is the second largest certifying body in the world, second to probably United Green Building Council. It has got 9.75 billion square feet of certified square feet of certified green structures. Maharashtra heads it. Pune is second. Pune is second to only Mumbai. Mumbai, by sheer size, is ahead of us. But Pune, I think, will soon, with Purva's and Mr. Lal's here, we would see soon definitely give a very close competition to the city of Bombay. But come what may, I mean, what may be, in spite of not being the first, we are the most livable city. So that is what is sustainable growth, sustainable living, beautiful living. And that's where I think a unique idea. I mean, I'm very happy that a finance company is looking at promoting sustainability. And therefore, when I read about Kutumb, and I read about Disha, and I read about Panka, I mean, what is that? Beautiful. I mean, this entire concept, the whole names sort of appealed to me. And when I heard Mr. Jain, I think he heads your organization, he says Kutumb is family. And absolutely right. When you talk of Kutumb, you mean everybody, each one, every stakeholder. In Kutumb, in our own family, it's your mother, your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, your son-in-law, and everybody. So Kutumb here in this context of the real estate is the stakeholders, the buyers, the developers, the financiers. Is going to happen. So probably, are we transforming ourselves from the initiatives to the strategies? Yes. The strategies, people are talking about green. People are talking about certifying them. And look at your own company. They're talking about, when I read the figures, here they are. So they say that IIFL Home Finance Limited has facilitated the credit-linked subsidy to 1,300 households in the states with a subsidy amounting to 343 crores and has disbursed around 7,050 crores of rupees. Huge, humongous figures, could be possibly low in the context of the Indian diaspora, but big. And that is the initiatives that are soon going to be strategies and soon going to be what we call norms. It's a very strange week. We know it's a week in which there is G20 happening, it's COP27, and there is also the launch of IIFL home loans for the green buildings. So it's a very unique week. We look at the COP27 when we talk of maintaining temperatures within 1.5 degrees centigrade in the few years to come, and also talking of net zero. We have Purva and Mr. Lal here who's going to speak to you about how, when, where, how, and etc., etc. They are the technocrats who will tell you how it's going to happen. But for me, this is a very unique week. In the sense that G20, of course, great for India because Narendra Modi is going to head it. It's the group of 20. These are countries that have gathered together to think of the entire future of the whole world per se, economically, in terms of livability, in terms of what is going to happen with the weather. So these countries think of the whole thing of the world at large. Whereas COP27 focuses specifically on the weather changes and what is necessary to be done in terms of finances, in terms of adaptability, in terms of education, for seeing that the world becomes a better place. You know, I read a beautiful saying that we drank water from lakes and rivers, then we drank water from wells, then we started drinking water from bottles, and God forbid what the next generation is going to drink from. So isn't that an eye-opener? You know, look at what was available to us a couple of hundreds of years ago. We had beautiful lakes, we had rivers flowing with so much beautiful water, and we drank from them. Then it became wells. We all now drink from water bottles, we buy the Bisleries. God forbid, I said, what the younger generation would do for 10 or 15 years from now. It's high time that we all got together and talked about how to see that we go back. We don't remain at the water bottles, we go back to the wells, if not the lakes. So that is what is happening through these mediums of, you know, and then of course, when you link up green with available finances, when you link up green with available funds to see that the economically weaker section and the, what you call low income group. Now, what is this section particularly? India virtually, as they say, is 50 to 60% of this middle class. Middle class is somebody earning between 3 lakh rupees a year to 6 lakh rupees a year. So the economical weaker section, as they say, is between 3 lakh rupees a year. And the lower income group, LIG, is about 6 lakh rupees a year. So these people are a huge spectrum. And as the report says that about 4 to 5% of them have really got good housing. Whereas the demand for housing is rated to be at around 75%. And these are the number of people who require good homes. And look at, if we can give them homes which are sustainable, which are going to not only make their lives better, but also reduce the cost of living, I think it's a great job done. So I believe that this initiative, which I was told started 3 years ago, and now really taking feathers, punk, is what is happening now. There's a Kutumb that was given a disha, and now it's taken wings. So wonderful thought process, wonderful way of approaching a problem. I saw some books on sustainability there. I never thought a finance company would ever think this way, out of the box, totally out of the box. Compliments to you, sir, compliments to your company. And I think there is no other way. It's going to be a norm. Compliments to being the trendsetters in starting this green movement for affordable housing, the segment that really needs support. And I'm sure you're going to have these technocrats who are going to speak to you later about how this can happen. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope we really achieve the goal that we have in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for appreciating us. I was always proud of my company, and today I feel more confident and proud about IIFL Home Loans. So big hand for IIFL Home Loans and for the Pune city. Now I would like to call our Executive Director and CEO, Mr. Monu Atra, to open the event on behalf of IIFL Home Loans. Thank you. Just take.
Thank you, Mr. Shroff, for so many compliments. I don't know. Thank you so much. So before I start, we'll just play a small video, please.
Asian Development Bank and IIFL Home Finance Limited join hands to promote green affordable housing in India. India, the 7th largest country by area and the most populous democracy in the world, is on fast track to development and is scaling new heights in housing and housing finance sectors. While housing industry itself has shown exponential growth globally in recent years, steep rise in urban population has created a soaring demand for housing in India as well. However, meeting this growing demand is becoming a challenge, especially in the affordable housing segment. To meet this short supply of homes in India, the government has taken many initiatives, such as focusing on affordable housing through the 4 verticals of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. IIFL Home Finance Limited aligned itself with the Yojana and facilitated credit-linked subsidy to over 50,000 beneficiary households, also encouraging women. Other initiatives are also undertaken by the government to promote affordable housing in the country. While we make strides in making affordable housing available, it has a few drawbacks, such as overconsumption of energy and non-renewable resources. Which is why countering these adverse environmental impacts becomes all the more imperative. There are, however, a few hurdles in adopting green construction and buildings in India. Some from the developer fraternity dedicate themselves towards this crucial task by taking steps towards sustainable construction. Asian Development Bank and IIFL Home Finance Limited together endeavor to drive these green initiatives forward by developing green building certification guidelines and benchmarking standards in the Indian housing landscape. Asian Development Bank is helping provide technical assistance across three important elements to achieve this goal. The first element of the technical assistance is dedicated towards promotion of green affordable housing amongst stakeholders. IIFL Home Loans flagship platform, Kutumb, is an initiative towards green affordable housing. Disha, a community building and sustainable living initiative, focuses on women and children of the household. Presenting Kutumb, an initiative to make green affordable housing a reality in India by talking to developers, architects and influencers on one stage. The other two elements of the technical assistance are capacity building for developers and housing brands and research and innovation for promoting cost-effective green technologies. IIFL Home Loans in-house sustainable experts, the Green Value Partners, assist developers in green certification and construction. And their efforts have made a considerable impact towards sustainability. IIFL Home Finance Limited, India's one of the fastest growing tech-enabled housing finance company, has an AUM of rupees 22,207 crores as on December 31st, 2021. This is just the start. It is a long way ahead to go to make green affordable housing a mainstream norm in the Indian housing industry. Asian Development Bank and IIFL Home Finance Limited have come together to make this vision a reality. Asian Development Bank.
So I just wanted to give a glimpse of under the umbrella under which we are doing this event, and I would like to thank Priya, who represents ADB, and Susan, who actually gave the reality to this engagement which we had, and also a lot of confidence to us that what we started had a larger purpose, and if we could take it to a more progressive manner, and we could take it more deep as well. So thank you, Priya, for this. Thank you so much. As Mr. Shroff has already mentioned a lot of things, I just wanted to say that we are interesting. I always say now that sustainability is not a generosity we have to do. It's a business case. It's an absolute business case for all of us to understand. The world is trying to, the world has challenges or problems, and if you solve them, you have a business case to do that. And I think that's how entrepreneurs or developers like you should look at it. And that's how we also look at it, that today along the way you have to build businesses and you have to keep on doing good as well. As we know, Tesla is today has a market cap of the next 5 auto companies in the world, right? Just because he saw that there was a gap in it and he could do that. And whether it's the best alternative or not the best alternative, jury is still out about it, right? But that's a separate thing. But they try to imagine to solve a problem, and just imagine what's the commercial impact that person is having in creating such a valuable company in such a short period of time. So as I always believe, anything which is done with a even if it has to be good, it has to have a commercial objective to it. Only then it's sustainable and it's self-fulfilling and it becomes mainstream. And I think we need to there are challenges to make it mainstream and to make it a commercial facet to it. And there are continuation of challenges, and I was talking to one of the developers of Pune. He said the cost of construction has gone up so much that today nothing less than 2,000 rupees you end up spending on that. And if you add the marketing cost and if you add the FSI cost, it will turn out to be something like 4,000 minimum. And that also in the far off place. Then how can you really make an affordable house, even if it is of the reasonable of sizes you want to do? So there are very complex situations we are in. So obviously a lot of developers are upgrading themselves from affordable housing initially maybe to a slightly higher segment. But at the same time, I would say that's the challenge and that's the opportunity which this provides. And my sense is that if you look at globally also and how this government is looking at the strata of society which it is trying to do. Otherwise, we'll end up having such a wide gap in everything of some set of people who are sitting in this room and about 95% of people who are not in this room or who cannot be seen there. So it's a complex problem, even a social problem, I would say, to do that. And housing is such a important imperative for any social equality or a social self-respecting thing to create that social equilibrium, I would say. Housing is such an important part. And I'm also reading an article in the papers, I think 2 days back, they said in Mumbai, 80% of the population of Mumbai will never be able to afford a house in Bombay. Because the way the price of a house is and the average earning potential of 80% of Mumbai people cannot afford a house in Bombay. Right. So we are trying to have to delve into both sides to it. So India's housing problem is more complex. It's first affordable and sustainable. Might be a later word, but first affordable becomes so imperative to do that. And I think the way, at least personally I can tell you from financial sector, and I'm sure sir can talk about the real estate sector, I would say that regulatory environment is becoming very strong. It is so strong. I can tell you from a financial side, it's changed dramatically in the last 3 to 5 years. It's not become easy to do financial services business. I'm sure it would have, even the real estate has changed a lot, right? With RERA coming in and they're trying to, RERA was just a start to it and then they're trying to make it more narrower and narrower what they want, right? And I think similarly it's going to happen to construction, right? And it's going to come, we like it, we don't like it, we want to abide, we don't want to abide, it's going to come also. So it's, what I'm trying to say to the developers is it's something to be done, be ready for it right away because it's going to come at any which ways. And we've all experienced that our current government is very strong. If they believe in something, they ensure it happens, right? So I'm sure as sensible future thinking businessmen and entrepreneurs, we should know what's coming. And as per me, especially this COP 27, which is there, and India is going to be chairing the COP thing for the next year. I'm sure you will see more things coming and getting rolled out, especially in the construction sector is what I feel. And also it will place us, because if you look at some ideas, like look at this solar in India, it has gone, we are today the world's largest producer of solar energy in the world today, right? So that ISA has been a fabulous success. And it started in a very small form and it became a movement. And that's when I said that you start with initiatives and they become strategies and eventually they'll become a norm. So we are already from initiative to strategies. Now we are heading towards a norm kind of a thing. So we will see that these will become norms and all of us will need to abide by that. And in our small initiative, if you ask me honestly, when we started and conceived this, everybody thought, you have no business in this, what are you doing, right? And Mr. Lal has been there with us since 2018. Our first Kutumb we started in Ahmedabad, right? And it was a very vague concept for a finance company to be there. And he showed us a lot of, he really got excited. He said, we told him that this is the segment of developers we're going to address. He always felt excited. This is the ones who are going to create supply. So we've been going that path. And we feel that we've made a lot of progress. And later on, we realized that once we have spoken to you guys to say that, okay, this is a good thing to do, the next step was for you to have somebody who would handhold you. And that's when we created the Green Value Partner. That was the second step of it that we created with Santosh and team, and you have regional GVPs who handle that. So the third step we are trying to now work upon is, can we influence or have recommendation on policy matters as well, so that, because it's a pretty, I would say, spread out scenario which we have in terms of policy as well. So that's the third thing we are trying to do. And with ADB coming in, they formalized and structured it even more. And under this promotion, you know, Kutumb is one part of it. The second part is capacity building, which we are working with CEPT Ahmedabad. And the capacity building, we have done various workshops. The intent was, whether it's a developer, whether it's a financial institution, whether it's the government for policy making, all these people also need to be have a more in-depth session to discuss that how more people know about the subject so that they can implement in their respective fields to do that. So capacity building, we have done quite a bit. Under that also, we are also trying to come up with something to do with self-construction also, which sir is also doing one initiative with another institution. So we are also trying to see that, because in India still, I'm sure sir, Mr. Shroff will agree that 80% of the houses still self-constructed, right? The developer community at best should be about 20% also is, I think, is high. But yeah, give or take, it be 80% will be self-construction, and that's going on its own, right? So we're trying to create a structure for that also, and we can implement it. It's a very complex subject, that how do you ensure every individual house getting built in a certain way? But surely we will find that path there. And the third aspect is research and innovation part of it, which again we are doing with CEPT Ahmedabad. And there we have picked up 3 questions to answer that. One is the comparability of the different standards of whether it's IGBC or GREHA or for that matter, EDGE, what are the parity things which we need to do, and if there are any gaps and recommendations, so that we make a more holistic thing. And the second aspect is women as a part of affordable housing, how we can take care of that. So thanks to ADB to make it more formalized and more focused, and hopefully once this engagement concludes in about a month and a half time, we should be able to share and come out with papers for the relevant audience to take this forward. And lastly, I would can't agree more with Mr. Shroff that this is a beautiful city, one of the most livable cities in the country. And I think it has some pluses with that. I think so. I think the general climatic zone is also quite adaptable and suitable as well, if I could say that. And secondly, I think the conscious public as well. I think that's a very, very important part of this. To mainstream some idea is so important. And we were just talking to one of the gentlemen. Indore is the cleanest city in India. And we spoke to the gentleman who was the flag bearer of that movement. And he said that today, I have been going to Indore for the past about 15 years, and I've seen what it was and what it's become, right? So today he says that everybody is so conscious person in that city, right? And even they take charges of collection of garbage. For hotels it is higher, and individual households also, it goes as low as 150 rupees if my memory serves me right, but nobody minds paying, right? So the entire ecosystem has started believing in the idea, and only then it has become part and parcel of it, right? And they say now there are hotline services. If you want a disposal, within 45 minutes, the requisite people will come and take away your garbage. So it won't be just lying on the road. 45 minutes, hotline, right? 24/7, right? So we're talking about India, we're talking about a city like Indore, who could transform from being not a great clean city and to the cleanest city in the country. So if you borrow that narrative from him, I think what he's trying to say is that unless you make this into a mainstream thing, it should not be about some 30, 40 people sitting in this room, but to take it to a wider audience and believe in it, and that's how it's going to come. When the demand is also going to ask that I need a house like this, is when things will change. We also get moved by the demand side of it to do business, right? So I think that's where we are at that cusp of it. And I'm sure cities like Pune, Hyderabad, These are like the flagship cities for our country who believe in this movement already. Because we go to different cities and we understand how developers are receptive. We find a lot of receptiveness in Pune in comparison to other cities. I will not name those cities, they are big cities, but over there the developers say, apne ko nahi karne ka. Right? So they're just not interested to do that. So hats off to Pune city and all of you that you already have that consciousness, you have that belief that you want to do this. And I would just like to end by thanking all of you to be here. And in the end, we'll play a small video which we have created for Pune. So complimenting all of you. Just have a look. So what we're trying to say here is that there is a massive opportunity which is there in the city, and hopefully if we can do that part and we can come to a certain kind of understanding or an initiative of it, hopefully we can solve this problem. And I think one of the key areas which I think in future, sir, we should be talking about is how to bring down the cost of construction per se itself, to be able to fit into this, because affordable housing, first you need to give affordable housing and then give them sustainable housing. If you'll not be able to make it affordable, then green will never come. So I think that could be our next thing, and maybe Priya can also take it back to ADB and say that, okay, this should be our next thing on the research and innovation side to make it affordable. Thank you very much, and hope you have a very, I would say, enriching session, and happy to take feedbacks to improve it here on. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So now we quickly move on to our session 1, which will be about designing climate resilient affordable housing, for which to moderate the event, I would like to call Santosh Ramkumar, who is our lead Green Value Partnership, IIFL Home Loans. Santosh, you're there?
Thanks, Abhishek. So, good morning, everyone. I just want to start this session by asking a simple question. How comfortable are you feeling in this room? Is it cold? Is it hot? With a simple raise of hand, how many of you can tell me if it's comfortable? If it's comfortable, please raise your hand. Okay, great. So, do you know what's keeping you comfortable? It's this building and the systems that are operating and functioning in it, the design of this building that's helping you keep it comfortable for you. So today, we are going to be talking with our esteemed panelists. I'll be introducing them shortly. We'll be talking about how the design of the building can be made climate resilient, because with climate change happening, you're having more natural disasters. We saw in the video also that there was flooding which happened and devastated the city of Pune in 2019. So how can we make our houses more climate resilient? That is what we are going to be understanding today from our experts. And also in this process, how we can keep those costs low, the costs of construction, while we are designing such passive measures in the building. So to start off, I would like to welcome architect Ashok Pilal on stage. Sir, please come up. So, Sir has been involved with us, like it was mentioned earlier, since our first Kutumb. He is committed to an architectural practice that is based on the principles of environmental sustainability and social responsibility for over 30 years now, and he's been engaged in developing curriculum and teaching methods to address environmental issues. So his current interest is in developing strategies for sustainable urban development in the context of rapid urbanization. So welcome to our session today, sir. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Purva Keskar. So Dr. Purva Keskar is the director of VKE Environmental. She's an architect, environmental designer, educator, and author of several articles and research papers in the practice of environmental design and management. She has over 22 years of experience in this subject. So today we'll be, welcome ma'am, please. We'll be hearing from both of them on how we can make affordable housing climate resilient. So yeah. So, yeah, it'll be shown, but that's okay. Yes. So in today's session, Ashok sir and Purva ma'am will be asking some questions to all of you, just to take a vote on how you are feeling about that particular question. So with a simple raise of hands, I would request you to please answer to that. And to start with, the first question is in the title itself, climate resilient affordable housing. So what really is the climate of a building? You know, what is the climate of that zone, and how should a developer assess that and take it into account when they're designing their buildings? So ma'am, I'll start off with you, if you could answer with that.
Yeah, actually, I would really like to answer it quickly, but I think my earlier speaker was talking about Pune having a very pleasant climate, and he was talking about it being really enjoyable climate. But let me tell you, sir, that the climate has been changing. Pune earlier was considered into a temperate zone. Temperate zone is where you don't have too high temperatures, humidity is fairly comfortable, and you have good winds, you know. But over the time, there was a research which was done around 10 years back when we were trying to look at how the climate is changing in Pune. And with a scientific viewpoint, we analyzed it, and we found that Pune has turned from a temperate climate to a composite climate. So in a composite climate, generally you find that temperatures are higher in compared to what they were earlier. So, and also the humidity, and you have summers really being felt and winters also being felt. So earlier we used to feel more of winters and less of summers, but it is moving in a different direction. And how has designs really evolved? Designs have not evolved so much. We have been designing in a similar way for many years. In fact, consideration of climate when doing a design has now been taken over by the development control rules. So whenever an architect starts designing, he's moreover considering the development control rules as design guidelines more than looking at the climate. I think this map shows you that Maharashtra has many different climate zones. So it is almost representative of the entire India, where you have hot, dry in Aurangabad, you have, real composite climate in Nagpur, you have cold climates in Mahabaleshwar and Lonavala, and Pune is composite. So we also have in the coastal region, the climate is warm, humid. So I think when we are looking at these things and we see the climate changing, how do we really make our buildings climate resilient? How are the buildings, the design being adapted to suit, or rather to consider inclusive climate when designing? We are right now designing without considering the climate or the environment. It's like exclusive designs, taking pride in our own designs, in the building that we design, but not really looking at where the building is sitting, what is it really interacting with, so if I'm in this particular room, I'm wearing a certain attire, but if I'm outside in the hot air, rather the sun and on the site, I would be wearing something different, right? So these things are not being considered, is what I feel. And I think that is something which we need to look at, inclusive environment.
Thank you, ma'am. And sir, would you like to elaborate on this?
Yeah, I just want to, you can hear me. I just want to build upon what we've been just told. One is that, the climate, she says the climate is changing. Research has shown that it is changing, it's getting warmer here. Why on earth is it getting warmer? And why is it getting warmer still in the city of Pune, or in any city for that matter? It's compounding things. It's getting warmer because more carbon dioxide is being caught in the atmosphere, trapping heat across the surface of the globe, and generally temperatures are beginning to rise, and we are experiencing that. But this gets exaggerated when you come into cities, because the buildings in the cities and the amount of building in the cities, the density of building, the hard surfaces, the massive buildings absorb a lot of heat, retain that heat, and when the evenings used to be pleasant, they are no longer that pleasant. All right? So it gets exacerbated. Another thing that's happened across the country, we're noticing heat waves, right? And sharp heat waves, and the intensity of the heat wave and the duration of the heat wave is rising progressively. I've just got two climates here. There's Chennai, there's Delhi. This is a chart that shows the variation in temperatures across the year, starting from January to December in both cases. And you can see that in Delhi, you start with a climate, or in Chennai, you start with, in this time of the year, it's sort of fine, then it becomes warm, humid, then it becomes hot and humid, then it goes back to being warm, humid, and then toward the end of the year, once again, it is warm and fine. I mean, it's becoming finer. But in Delhi, very cold winter, then a pleasant season, then a very hot summer, then a monsoon season, then becomes pleasant again, then becomes very cold once again around the year. Now, here's a house. It has a roof, it has walls, it has windows. What has this fellow got to do with all of that? It is these things that need to be considered while responding to the change in climate and the different climate. What you build here cannot be exactly the same as what you build here. That's the lesson. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think that has really clarified to us how we should.
Is that clear?
So we'll move with the next question. So what are some strategies that developers can put in place to really build this resilience into their projects? So ma'am, we'll start with you.
Yeah, actually, again, I'm going to talk about and refer to my earlier speaker who was talking about floods happening in Pune. And Pune has never ever experienced floods till the last 5 years. And why is it so? Is it that the rains have increased? Yes. The intensity of rains has increased. The time in which it rains has decreased. So the peak rainfall has increased, one. Second is we are building, we are paving everything, no pervious surface for the water to go down. Not only in the city development plan are we looking at how we can really, channelize this water. So the water is flowing, the amount of water that falls on the ground is increasing, and we don't know, we can't predict where this water is going to flow, and therefore these floods. So it's very important to look at urban heat island effect, because this is something which is also causing the clouds to burst over the city, because the temperature in the city is slightly higher than its surrounding, and that is where the cloud really starts shedding the water, and therefore they are experiencing heavy rainfalls. So urban heat island is something which we really need to look into. And it can be easily, tackled by way of addressing our roofs, because any horizontal surface has the ability to reflect the heat away into the cold space. That is the science of it. So what can we really do? And then you can have, instead of a normal paint, you put a SRI paint, which is not going to cost you anything more. Because anyway you have to paint. So why not choose a paint? Earlier the cost could have been higher. Now I think we already have one person here who is showcasing the high SRI paints. So you can go and see that. But that is something you can try and do. In other places, in terms of drought, we need to think about how we are going to manage our water. Because water is a very scarce resource and we need to take care of it. As well as, when we are talking about resilience to cyclones, structural design matters. And if we need, safety is the prime objective which should be really met, and then probably we start looking at how we can improve the life, quality of life for people.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you have put it very aptly. When people are looking for homes, they're looking for shelter and comfort. So if they are shielded from these natural disasters which are increasing in frequency due to climate change, that would really help. And so,
I just want to add to that what you're saying.
Please.
The more you go around and talk to people, talk to children, talk to anybody you like, everybody now knows about climate change. Everybody has experienced the heat and the floods. They've experienced it and they've known it. They know it's coming to them. So it has really become a very deep psychological concern for anybody looking for a home. They want to feel secure for their future. They want to feel secure for the future of their children. It's a deep requirement. And it's something that we must respect and should provide for. And there are ways for doing it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think, would you like to elaborate on these three strategies that you were talking about in this diagram, where we can really make it comfortable for the occupants?
Yeah, some simple ideas. This is really talking about generally those parts of the country which are experiencing a fair amount of heat, and you need to be cooler. Outside is generally hot. Most of the country is like that. There are a few places which are beautifully temperate and few places that are cold, but mostly it's hot. So what do? The roof must be well insulated, because the sun is going to beat hard on it. It's going to beat even harder on it. The roof is going to get very hot. Those who are living right under the roof are going to suffer. They're already suffering. You offer them discounts, but they are going to refuse to buy it unless the roof is well protected. You must insulate. You can also insulate the walls for the heat, to keep the heat from being transferred from the outside to inside. So insulation, keeping the heat from moving in, or if you're air conditioning, keeping the cool from moving out. Insulate walls, insulate roofs. Roofs an absolute must. Walls facing west, absolute must. Second, shade. गर्मी में धूप घर के अंदर आ रही है, मैं पर्दा भी बंद कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन फिर भी गर्मी सता रही है, ये ऐसा हो नहीं सकता. धूप को बाहर रोकना पड़ेगा. You have to shade the outside of windows. Don't have too much glass. Have enough glass for lighting and ventilation, or windows for lighting and ventilation, but shade from outside. Use trees outside for shading. Plant them in a nice way. And most important and often forgotten more and more, is that when the weather is pleasant, in the daytime it may be hot, but evenings are pleasant, mornings are pleasant. You must be able to open the windows and allow the breeze to go through the house. The breeze goes through the house gets cooled down. Late in the morning, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it's getting hot outside, I now shut the windows, draw the curtains, so that the cool can stay inside. Okay? Very simple. Insulate, ventilate, and shade. Three things. None of this is really costing anything. It's just about design. Really, it's not costing anything, but it makes the home comfortable.
Thank you, sir. I think those three key words, that's really helpful for the developers. It's easy to remember also. Start with insulate, ventilate, and shade. That's very catchy also. I think people can understand it quickly. It will really help them. So one thing that we've frequently seen is, especially when we are working on projects in this Green Value Partner Initiative at IIFL, developers ask us always, what is the right time for me to do this? When should I really incorporate these strategies? And we always tell them as soon as possible. But what is as soon as possible? This is a matter of timing is important here. So I think we'll start with ma'am. Perhaps you can elaborate on this.
So, like someone was earlier mentioning that, integrating green features should not be considered over and above, and it should become a regular practice, which I believe. And therefore, any initiative that you want to do, any design contribution that you want to do has to start at the conceptualizing level at the developer's end. It should not start at the architect side. The developer should give a brief to the architect saying that I want my building to be really comfortable for the users. So it should start by the developer demanding something out of that architect, and then I think the architect will surely lap it up very easily and work on it with a lot of effort he'll put on it. And I'm sure then at the design stage, if certain things are considered, Lal sir already talked about, insulate, ventilate and shade. And these, like he said, don't need any kind of additional cost to it. It's just the thinking of the architect and how he manages to design the project in terms of its orientation, in terms of its openings, in terms of its shading devices, in terms of the selection of material that he decides for his walling and roofing. All these things don't require any extra cost. So I think it should start at the developer's end.
Thank you, ma'am. So the flip side of this would be that if this is incorporated later on, that is going to increase the cost of the construction, right?
Yes, of course, because if you have not considered the right orientation, which means that the solar radiation or the sun is really going to heat up the larger surfaces and therefore more spaces, and that is where probably, afterthought in that kind of a thing would, push the developer to do something, maybe add an insulation later. Because insulation may be costing for the walls, but as Sir said, for the roofs, it's a no-brainer. But for the walls, you can avoid insulation and yet make the places, the inside more comfortable. And that is exactly what I mean by starting at the design stage.
Thank you, ma'am. So, what are your thoughts on this, really?
Yeah, of course. I think what Purvaji said is so critical. It goes from both, we architects, let me admit to this. We architects sometimes think of ourselves as stylists, all right? Arey, bada badhiya elevation banayenge, sundar banayenge, etc. And we are after that for some reason. Even the developers believe that, the styling matters a hell of a lot when you're selling something. But let me tell you, when you're talking about affordable housing, it doesn't matter so much. The styling. What matters is, are you going to give me a comfortable home? Are you going to give me a home which is not going to require air conditioning? Or if I did require air conditioning, I'll have to use it very little. Are you going to give me that? And, extremely important, it is the air conditioning demand which is growing because of very poor design by architects and developers, which is going to be our undoing in the coming future. This is going to be our undoing. If more and more homes in every room starts getting air conditioned, if not today, 5 years from now, or 7 years from now, the Ministry of Power has said, sir, we cannot provide you the required power. We just can't. It's growing so fast. It's not possible. So we've got to be pulling back from that. And that power consumption, if it is coming mostly from coal, which is the truth in India, is going to add to climate change. It's going to make things worse. So designing for comfort, you want it. The buyer wants it. The architect has to want it and find the right solution. Start with your demands. Start with your demands based on the buyer's needs.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, would you like to elaborate a little bit more on the green building design approach that is followed when developers are coming with the projects?
See, actually, when you say green, anything which is proclaimed to be green needs to be looked at by some other third party, and that party has to confirm that whatever measures you have done are green. When we are talking about green, it also entails not only energy, it talks about water, how are you going to manage your waste, and what is the kind of green space that you are giving for people to experience that kind of, calmness, which is not available in the urban areas, very dense urban areas. Even if the space is small, if it is densely, green, which is by way of doing trees, you can just go and sit there for some time. Mental health is also very, very important. So green is over and above just giving, looking at resource efficiency. It is also looking at the physical and the mental health of people.
So holistic approach is required here.
Yes, holistic approach is required.
Great. So I'm just the next thing that a lot of developers commonly ask us, because some of them are making this transition to building green and designing green. So they ask us, okay, tell me the 5 things that I can do, which is low hanging fruits. I will do them, and in my next project that will become a standard. So what are some of these low hanging fruits that any developer can pick up to immediately go ahead with making their project more sustainable?
Solar passive design, demand solar passive design from the architect who's going to design the project. That's the most easiest thing to achieve. Look at your windows, try and shade them, because that doesn't require any cost. Don't give big windows. I think I have a picture, somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah, because, big windows would unnecessarily mean a lot of, solar radiation that comes in and actually disturbs you. It serves as glare more than having a good uniform daylight. If you restrict the size of your window, the window should be able to ventilate the space, it should be able to provide daylight, and it should also serve as an access for you to look out into the greens. So these 3 things, if they are met, then don't increase the size of the windows. That's the first thing. So window design, solar passive design in terms of orientation that you demand, and I think solar reflective index paint, which is not going to cost you a lot, but it is going to go a long way, not only in reducing the temperature at the top floor and contribute also to reducing the urban heat island effect. So it has a dual purpose, generally speaking. I think these 3 things come to my mind. The one more thing which we have to look at is embodied carbon reduction, and that can be done by way of, modular coordination, how you size your rooms. So the architect needs to look at how he sizes his rooms. There's less of wastage in terms of material. You can look at slung piping for your plumbing, which is also going to reduce the, sunk slabs, and, it's going to be more affordable in terms of cost reduction. So these things do matter. Not only in terms of operational energy reduction and operational carbon reduction, but also look at embodied carbon reduction. These are the things that come to my mind.
So, really, ma'am, in a statement, how would you simplify, when you say a developer should demand passive solar design, which you started on?
Okay.
What does that exactly mean for a developer?
First is orientation, that's the first thing. Second, I said appropriate sizing of windows, shading of windows. Then in terms of materials of walling, what could be offering a better thermal resistance to the heat that comes if you are designing in a hot climate. So simple things like changing from a brickwork to a autoclaved, aerated autoclaved cement blocks would work, because AAC blocks not only offer good thermal resistance, but they would allow you to put in less amount of plaster, because of the size of the block and the possibility of having the wall more in a plumb kind of an way. The amount of mortar also reduces because of the sheer, size of the block. So these are the things that I would recommend.
And specifically when you're using, of course, lesser material to build the building, you're also reducing the cost simultaneously.
Yes.
So that adds on to that benefit also.
Yes. Also, less amount of window and glass would reduce your cost, right? I mean, the glass costs more than a walling. So simply look at that.
Yes, reduction of cost is very important. The moment you're building beyond 4 stories, 6, 7, 8 stories, structure becomes a major cost. And it's the steel and concrete that's the major cost. So AAC blocks used as the walling system are beneficial because not only do they reduce the plastering cost of finishing requirements, etc., but because of their lighter weight, you save considerably on RCC, considerably. And we've done calculations to prove to ourselves and to others that AAC block combination in any frame structure, AAC with RCC works out more economical than using traditional brick infill. And it is certainly from the thermal point of view a better answer. So reducing steel today, I say that if you're building up to 4 to 5 stories high, throw a challenge to your structural engineer. We don't want to consume more than 25 kg of steel per square meter of carpet area. I'm not going to allow you more than that. Give me a design that meets the codes, even with earthquake resistance as required, but that's your challenge. Show me that design. And I tell you, a good structural engineer will get you there. That saved from 4 kg per square foot or 40 kg per square meter down to 25 or 26 is a big saving in cost.
Thank you, sir. I think you also had some photographs you would like to walk us through.
Well, this is just reinforcing your points. Here's a very awkward site. This is a picture of a project. A very awkward site, all kinds of ins and outs and shapes, and you still have to build a lot of building on it. But here's the attempt. Most of the buildings are so aligned that their shorter faces face the rising and the setting sun. And the longer faces are either north or southwards. This reduces the amount of heat from the sun that falls on the surface of the building. So this is what is called orientation. All right? By doing this, which is just a matter of site planning, see how best you can manage it. But where you do have to face east or west, it can happen, southeast, southeast, southwest, you do need to take additional measures for shading from the outside so that it's as comfortable as the other homes. So that's orientation, something you can do at the initial stage, and it makes a big difference. Next. Well, this is the same thing. This is in Rajkot on the right-hand side. You got this picture. Somebody, we went to meet these people. They're living in those houses. I said, sir, why have you got all these cloth and curtains and everything hanging outside? Sir, we made a big mistake. What's the mistake? We were shown these pictures by the developers, modern house, large windows, this and that, modern house. And we said, we'll go to a modern house. And what did we get? We get an oven inside. It's so hot. So we have to hang stuff outside to stop the sun from coming in. Whereas an affordable housing project on the left-hand side, you can see, the low part of those windows is actually opaque. There's a small glass on top. They are happy. What they say is that when it is blazing hot outside, we shut the windows, a little bit of light is enough. In the evenings, when it is pleasant or during the monsoon season, open the whole window. Get the light, get the air. Simple way of designing windows. See? Well, if you don't want to provide shading systems, provide a frame. Here's a project which has got a lot of frames. And how do they get used? Next picture. This is how people use those frames. Simple thing, but then it enables somebody to put the shade outside very easily. You have to stop the sun outside the glass, not inside the glass. Once the heat has come inside the glass, inside the window, the room is hot. Putting the curtains is not going to help.
What a simple and a nice thing.
Simple.
Thank you, sir. I think what at least I have learned from this, from hearing you speak, is, the right design at the right time taken up by the developer can reduce the cost, can make the life comfortable for the homeowner also, who's, going to come and occupy that space, and save a lot of headache for everybody involved. So I would really like to look at those 3-4 things that a developer can look at to reduce the capital cost that they'll be bearing. The initial capital cost when they're designing their building, Ma'am, would you like to elaborate on this?
Actually talked about it by
Yeah.
saying that, modular design, sizing, right sizing of your rooms so that less wastage, that is the first thing which will reduce your cost. We were talking about AC blocks and he was talking about reduce use of steel, which is going to reduce the cost. Slung piping, which is again going to reduce the cost. So these are actually cost reduction measures, right, that
Yeah.
you do. Very simple.
Thank you, ma'am. And sir, would you like to elaborate on your design process that you use with these compact buildings?
Yeah, I just want to share some results of some research that we did. There are opportunities to build 4 to 5 stories high, depending on the FSI. Then it goes to 6 to 7 stories. And then sometimes if you're in big cities, you find yourself doing 10, 12, 15 stories high. And you still call it affordable housing, right? Because the size of the unit is between 30 square meters and 60 square meters. You call it affordable housing. But the fact of the matter is that the moment you go above 6, 7 stories high, it's no longer affordable. We've done the study on it. Because the construction cost goes up, as you go taller. The energy required in producing the building materials, especially steel, for building tall and making the buildings stable against the wind or the earthquake, the steel requirement goes up. You end up using 5.5 kg, 6 kg of steel per square foot if you're building very tall. Your column sizes become bigger. Your floor plan efficiency goes down. 2 staircases are needed. Firefighting systems are needed. Who's going to afford all of that? Impossible. 4, 5 stories is the real answer. I would tell municipalities, affordable housing, control the price of land, give enough supply of land, 4, 5 stories, build quickly, build cheaper, and anybody who's been living in 1 or 2 story structures is much happier to move into 4, 5 story buildings. You tell them you're going to get a small flat, 300 square feet, 290 square feet on the 10th floor where the lift is going to fail? Boy, I'm not going to be happy with that. I'm not going to be happy with that. Nobody is going to be happy with that. So, one of the things that we found, maybe there's is that the operating cost, pumps, lifts, common services, goes up as you go taller. Who's going to afford that? Only rich people. So, stay low. Next. Maintenance costs. The lift is going to give up after some time. The pumps are going to give up. The firefighting system you'll have to renew. And the lift inspector, he comes every year, He wants his bit. Impossible. So keep it 4, 5 stories as far as possible. Next. This is extremely important. Something, Monu, you're saying, what's the future going to be? The future is going to be rooftop solar. This movement is on. The calculation shows that if you're 5 stories high and you give 60% of your roof to solar PV, that electricity can take care of 85% of your annual need. 85%. And now electricity departments are giving you, reverse metering, net metering. Net metering. So that when you don't need the electricity, you can sell. When you need it, you can buy. Balance is all that you need to pay. So imagine your bill being only 15% of what it is today. Who doesn't want that? So 4, 5 stories, solar PV, if not today, tomorrow. Leave the potential available. Leave the potential available. Tomorrow it's going to come and everybody is going to benefit. I notice that in Ahmedabad and Rajkot, affordable housing projects are already installing solar PV on the roof, and that is taking care of their lifts, their pumps, and their common services already. Small systems, but this is going to be bigger. So keep that in mind.
Thank you, sir. I think that really simplifies it for the developers. If they're building it at a lower height, they're going to be consuming lesser materials, and they're going to be leaving potential for solar rooftop.
I just want to add one little thing.
Please.
In Chennai, the FSI was 1.5 or 1.75, something like that. The developer went in, did their calculation. If they wanted to use the whole FSI, it meant 7 stories or 8 stories average. They did their calculations. They found that getting the building plan approval is going to take 6 months more, because you have to go to some other firefighting committees and this committee and that committee, higher planning level. Airport authority, yeah. So then they found that it's going to take them longer to build. You can't sell the ground floor apartment until the top floor is finished with the firefighting service, right? Approvals are going to take longer. So they said, forget it, we are not going to use the full FSI. We are going to build ground plus 4, and boy, it's been a successful project. Right? Luckily, right, they were able to negotiate the price of the land, right, to make the project really work. And this is where, if the FSI is controlled by the municipal authorities or the building or the planning authorities, the land price itself will not just shoot up just like that. It won't, because the land price is proportionate to what you're allowed to build on it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I think that live example also helps us understand and put this into context when we are looking at the projects and evaluating them. Ma'am, I would also now ask you about this particular project that you have worked with here in Pune. I believe it is Joyville. So would you like to talk with us about what was the process of getting this made as a green affordable housing project? I believe you were talking earlier about accessing this green certification. So how do we really assess the certification in these projects, and how do we move forward with that?
Yeah, so when this project came to us and they were thinking of going in that affordable category where the houses were not more than 300 square feet almost. So it was a challenge to us because like, you look at, you may feel that there are a few overheads in terms of making it green. We realized that the development control rules already, talk about mandatorily providing certain amount of solar hot water. They are talking about the new UDCPR in Pune, are talking about giving certain amount of solar PV. And also really taking care of the water in terms of water management. If your project is of a considerable size, then it is mandated to put in a STP. It is mandated to look at how you manage your waste. So when we started looking at, comparing the additional costs, so we are not talking about the total cost, but we made a sheet as to, what are the measures that are mandated by the development control rules and what needs to be done extra. We realized there's hardly anything that you really need to do extra than to have a good solar passive design. So this is a process that we followed. When they approached us, we said that yes, the design was already in place. So how do we really look at it? We started analyzing the design and then started looking at a third-party certification. Here we used the IGBC framework. And we started looking at what needs to be done in terms of, making it get the certificate. And you see that, 48 kilowatt solar photovoltaic cells were installed. After a lot of deliberations, we realized that we need to limit it to 48 kilowatts. Low flow fixtures don't cost you anything more nowadays. You just have to take a decision prior to giving an order, and that is how we decided that we'll go in for low flow fixtures to reduce the water consumption for the project. We treated almost 100% of the wet waste which was in the site, and OWC, which is an organic waste composter, was put in, because we also looked at whether there is a possibility of doing vermicomposting, because that would not require any energy. But the space constraints didn't allow us to do that, so we had to go in for a OWC. So we realized that hardly anything needs to be done. We also, were talking about how do you really carve out some green space for people to, enjoy. And here you realize that 38% of the site area was almost kept green as such. Trees were used to shade the pavers. Like we were trying to look at reducing urban heat island effect, where we used the trees to shade the paving on the ground, and for the roof we did apply the SRI paint, which didn't cost us really huge. So these were the things that we tried to do, and incidentally then probably we got the IGBC affordable rating, because IGBC has different rating for different typologies of construction or other projects, and they have a very specific rating for affordable housing, because they first in affordable housing, what you need to do is assure that they are getting good water, assure that they are getting enough energy, assure that all these infrastructure is put in place, and then the benchmarks for affordable housing are completely different in IGBC for that particular kind of rating. And I think we got the certificate, we got a gold certificate for the project. One more project that we did in Nasik was sold at 24 lakhs only per flat, which is not a huge amount. And they also got a gold certificate. So so we realized that if we start early in the design stage, we look at all the regulatory aspects, comply to those things, hardly any extra cost is then borne.
In fact, I would like to add on to that point because, in the GVP team at IIFL, we did an analysis ourselves to find out, how much of this compliance with the building code will help them with the particular certification that is there. In fact, just complying with the building code gives them, a 80 to 90% chance of completing everything that's required. And in fact, there were some projects that were automatically reaching the silver category, so rating. So they just had to do, like you said, the rooftop solar. They had to do 1 or 2 additional measures, and then they were able to easily achieve a green certification at the gold level for their particular project. In fact, today we have another developer whom we have worked with. He'll be sharing his experience of his particular project, of how he got it green certified. And we started with this project in the design phase itself. So they've got their pre-certification at a very early stage, and they've now been able to, they're in the process of implementing a lot of these things. And to really reiterate what we have discussed and sum up, one would be start early on the design process. Yes, sir.
I think that is the,
That's the most important principle. Start early.
Start early and take the right decisions in terms of the materials that you're using. Ideally, prefer low-rise housing over high-rise housing. That will really help with reducing your costs, and also to validate all this, get a green certification for your project. That will also help you prove that how sustainable your particular building or project is. If there are anything else you would like to add, or I can open the floor to question and answers.
I think interaction would be better because...
So we are now open for a Q&A. If anybody would like to ask any questions, please raise your hand. We'll give you a mic and you can ask a question.
Hindi, Marathi chalega.
Anyone?
Because of the FSI rules, right? So that's a pretty difficult thing to do. Like for example, here the FSI has gone to something like 4, 5. Right. So how, because the land price will get determined by that. That's right. Now then how do you make it low rise, and then you can't keep it affordable, then it will become a premium apartment. Seems to be like less apartment. So how do you kill that dilemma?
You're right. You're absolutely right. I think this is, you're talking about now we've reached a stage where we need to be thinking more of policy, because what is happening is in the pursuit of numbers, an arithmetic solution to the supply-demand gap, we have developed a typology of building which is going to be not affordable, right? And therefore, we have to rethink the availability of land and the FSI permissions and somehow restructure or intervene in the structure of the land markets. That's one part of it. The other part of it is that, the last census showed very clearly that the rate at which the second tier and third tier cities are growing is more rapid than the large metros. In fact, the large metros' population growth is slowing down. Why? Because it's too expensive. Why? Because life is becoming stressful in the large metros. So go to the middle level metros where income opportunities continue to grow, job opportunities continue to grow, people are willing to flock to those places where land is available within 15 minutes from places of work at a reasonable price. It is the development of the second and third tier cities that is going to be the solution for our urbanization future, not the big metros. So if you are going to the big metros, think only of luxury housing. But if you are thinking of affordable housing, go to the smaller towns.
I would like to ask a question to the audience today after our discussion. So, sir was really talking about insulate, ventilate, shade. Lot of terms are being thrown today. So, I want the developers here in the audience, please raise your hands. How many of you think of some of these things when you're asking an architect to design your project, or even one of the three? You know, if you do, then please raise your hands. It will also help us understand when we are working with the developers here. Okay, so I see a couple of hands raised. That's great. That's more than I expected. But I hope today's session has really helped clarify for you some of these terminologies and processes that have to be put in place. Hopefully it will help reduce the cost for you when you're designing your project, and also you can market it in a very good way as a comfortable home for the person you're selling it to. So with that, I would like to conclude the session today. Thank you. Abhishek, would you like to take?
Thank you. Hello. I guess we are very low on energy. Claps. Now, yeah, thank you so much. So that was session 1 for us. A lot of clarification, a lot of insights. Thank you so much, sir, ma'am. Now we take a quick break of 30 minutes. On your left, we have a high tea arrangement. So please come back in 30 minutes. We have a very interesting session coming up about financing, housing, affordable housing. So quick break, and we are back in 30 minutes. Thank you. Hello. So there is a correction. We will be back in 15 minutes. It's on your left.
Nothing can be achieved at scale unless there is a financial ecosystem to support the cause. Otherwise, we can have discussions in this part of beautiful Delhi. So we are sure that deliberations of today will become strategies of tomorrow, which eventually will become the norm in the future.
Building a book is damn easy. Constructing 5 projects and completing and delivering is damn easy. But are you building an institution in itself that yes, people will look up to? But today you are there. There is a particular brand house on demand today, that after 30 years same demand will remain, because you have created the value for your brand.
अब रह गई बात कैसे शुरू करेंगे।
कैसे शुरू करेंगे? मैंने आपको कुछ थोड़े बहुत एग्जाम्पल बताए और आपने चंद मिनट में समझ लिया होगा कि कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीज़ नहीं है, सिर्फ इसमें एक थोड़ा सा प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व है। डिज़ाइन के स्टेज से सोच के निकलना पड़ेगा, उसमें आपकी किफ़ायत भी होगी और आप ग्रीन चीज़ भी प्रोड्यूस कर सकेंगे। और अगर उसको आप सिस्टमैटिकली करेंगे तो सेजल जी हैं यहाँ पे और हमारे बड़े सारे ये IIFL की हैंड होल्डिंग टीम यहाँ बैठी हुई है, ये आपको सर्टिफिकेट लेके दे देंगे, फिर आपका फाइनेंस भी फायदेमंद होगा।
Kutumb literally means family, so we are trying to bring many people together, which is developers, home buyers, government agencies, MHB institutions and regulators, and trying to achieve something which is again unique, how you can make affordable houses which are still sustainable.
For increasing the awareness that a greenhouse is not pinching your pocket. This is going to pay you back in long run. This is beneficial in the long run.
Taking a stride forward to say affordable is no longer something a taboo. It's a place where you can stay respectfully, honorably, and with your self-respect right up there. So I think waves of change are there.
The ultimate goal is by generating awareness, by imparting trainings, we want to make sure that an ecosystem is built so that green building, sustainable building becomes a part of our life. When we talk about affordable housing, green is automatically a part of it. We should not be separately talking about green housing. It should naturally be a part of affordable housing in the country. And that is our ultimate aim through this technical assistance project.
Nothing can be achieved at scale unless there is a financial ecosystem to support the cause. Otherwise, we can have discussions in this part of beautiful Delhi. So we are sure that deliberations of today will become strategies of tomorrow, which eventually will become the norm in the future.
Building a book is damn easy. Constructing 5 projects and completing and delivering is damn easy. But are you building an institution in itself that yes, people will look up to? That today you are there and there is a particular brand house on demand today, that after 30 years same demand will remain because you have created the value for your brand.
अब रहेगी बात कैसे शुरू करेंगे। मैंने आपको कुछ थोड़े बहुत एग्जाम्पल बताए और आपने चंद मिनट में समझ लिया होगा कि कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीज़ नहीं है, सिर्फ इसमें एक थोड़ा सा प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व है। डिज़ाइन के स्टेज से सोच के निकलना पड़ेगा, उसमें आपकी किफ़ायत भी होगी और आप ग्रीन चीज़ भी प्रोड्यूस कर सकेंगे। और अगर उसको आप सिस्टमैटिकली करेंगे तो सेजल जी हैं यहाँ पे और हमारे बड़े सारे ये IIFL की हैंड होल्डिंग टीम यहाँ बैठी हुई है, ये आपको सर्टिफिकेट लेके दे देंगे, फिर आपका फाइनेंस भी फायदेमंद होगा। Kutumb literally means family, so we are trying to bring many people together, which is developers, home buyers, government agencies, MHB institutions and regulators, and trying to achieve something which is again unique, how you can make affordable houses which are still sustainable.
For increasing the awareness that a greenhouse is not pinching your pocket. This is going to pay you back in long run. This is beneficial in the long run.
Taking a stride forward to say affordable is no longer something a taboo. It's a place where you can stay respectfully, honorably, and with your self-respect right up there. So I think waves of change are there.
The ultimate goal is by generating awareness, by imparting trainings, we want to make sure that an ecosystem is built so that green building, sustainable building becomes a part of our life. When we talk about affordable housing, green is automatically a part of it. We should not be separately talking about green housing. It should naturally be a part of affordable housing in the country. And that is our ultimate aim through this technical assistance project.
Nothing can be achieved at scale unless there is a financial ecosystem to support the cause. Otherwise, we can have discussions in this part of beautiful Delhi. So we are sure that deliberations of today will become strategies of tomorrow, which eventually will become the norm in the future.
Building a book is damn easy. Constructing 5 projects and completing and delivering is damn easy. But are you building an institution in itself that yes, people will look up to? That today you are there, there is a particular brand house on demand today, that after 30 years same demand will remain because you have created the value for your brand.
अब रह गई बात कैसे शुरू करेंगे, कैसे शुरू करेंगे। मैंने आपको कुछ थोड़े बहुत एग्जाम्पल बताए और आपने चंद मिनट में समझ लिया होगा कि कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीज़ नहीं है, सिर्फ इसमें एक थोड़ा सा प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व है। डिज़ाइन के स्टेज से सोच के निकलना पड़ेगा, उसमें आपकी किफ़ायत भी होगी और आप ग्रीन चीज़ भी प्रोड्यूस कर सकेंगे। और अगर उसको आप सिस्टमैटिकली करेंगे तो सेजल जी हैं यहाँ पे और हमारे बड़े सारे ये IIFL की हैंड होल्डिंग टीम यहाँ बैठी हुई है, ये आपको सर्टिफिकेट लेके दे देंगे, फिर आपका फाइनेंस भी फायदेमंद होगा।
Kutumb literally means family, so we are trying to bring many people together, which is developers, home buyers, government agencies, NHB institutions and regulators, and trying to achieve something which is again unique. How you can make affordable houses which are still sustainable.
For increasing the awareness that a greenhouse is not pinching your pocket. This is going to pay you back in long run. This is beneficial in the long run.
Taking a stride forward to say affordable is no longer something a taboo. It's a place where you can stay respectfully, honorably, and with your self-respect right up there. So I think waves of change are there.
Ultimate goal is by generating awareness, by imparting trainings, we want to make sure that an ecosystem is built so that green building, sustainable building becomes a part of our life. When we talk about affordable housing, green is automatically a part of it. We should not be separately talking about green housing. It should naturally be a part of affordable housing in the country, and that is our ultimate aim through this technical assistance project.
Nothing can be achieved at scale unless there is a financial ecosystem to support the cause. Otherwise, we can have discussions in this part of beautiful Delhi. So we are sure the deliberations of today will become strategies of tomorrow, which eventually will become the norm in the future.
Building a book is damn easy. Constructing 5 projects and completing and delivering is damn easy. But are you building an institution in itself that yes, people will look up to? That today you are there, there is a particular brand house on demand today, that after 30 years same demand will remain because you have created the value for your brand.
अब रह गई बात कैसे शुरू करेंगे। कैसे शुरू करेंगे, मैंने आपको कुछ थोड़े बहुत एग्जाम्पल बताए और आपने चंद मिनट में समझ लिया होगा कि कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीज़ नहीं है, सिर्फ इसमें एक थोड़ा सा प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व है। डिज़ाइन के स्टेज से सोच के निकलना पड़ेगा, उसमें आपकी किफ़ायत भी होगी और आप ग्रीन चीज़ भी प्रोड्यूस कर सकेंगे। और अगर उसको आप सिस्टमेटिकली करेंगे तो सेजल जी हैं यहाँ पे और हमारे बड़े सारे ये IIFL की हैंड होल्डिंग टीम यहाँ बैठी हुई है, ये आपको सर्टिफिकेट लेके दे देंगे, फिर आपका फाइनेंस भी फायदेमंद होगा।
Kutumb literally means family, so we are trying to bring many people together, which is developers, home buyers, government agencies, MHB institutions and regulators, and trying to achieve something which is again unique, how you can make affordable houses which are still sustainable.
For increasing the awareness that a greenhouse is not pinching your pocket. This is going to pay you back in long run. This is beneficial in the long run.
Taking a stride forward to say affordable is no longer something a taboo. It's a place where you can stay respectfully, honorably, and with your self-respect right up there. So I think waves of change are there.
The ultimate goal is by generating awareness, by imparting trainings, we want to make sure that an ecosystem is built so that green building, sustainable building becomes a part of our life. When we talk about affordable housing, green is automatically a part of it. We should not be separately talking about green housing. It should naturally be a part of affordable housing in the country. And that is our ultimate aim through this technical assistance project.
आई थिंक मुझे फीडबैक ये मिला था कि कह रहे हैं कि हमें हिंदी में बात करनी चाहिए, तो बहुत अंग्रेज़ी में बात हुई है, तो कोशिश करूँगा मैं कि मराठी तो नहीं आती मुझे, लेकिन हिंदी में ज़रूर बात कर सकते हैं हम इस पर। सर ने और मैम ने हमें बताया कि चीज़ें बनानी कैसे है, उनका डिज़ाइन वाला एलिमेंट बताया, उन्होंने बताया कि क्या क्या स्टेप्स हमारे पास होने चाहिए उस चीज़ को बनाने के लिए। लेकिन जैसे कहते हैं कि पैसे से ही सब कुछ घूमता है, अच्छाई भी करनी है तो पैसा चाहिए, दान भी करना है तो पैसा तो चाहिए पहले, तभी तो दान भी होगा, राइट? तो भलाई तो तभी होगी जब तक पैसा सर्कुलेशन में होगा कि नहीं होगा। तो ये जो हमारा दूसरा भाग है, इसके ऊपर हम कोशिश करेंगे अपनी तरफ से कि हम फाइनेंसिंग वाले एलिमेंट को के बारे में बात करें, जबकि ये थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स सब्जेक्ट है और इसको कैसे जोड़ा जा सकता है कि जो हम चीज़ें अचीव करना चाहते हैं थ्रू डिज़ाइन, सस्टेनेबिलिटी या दूसरे ऑब्जेक्टिव, तो फाइनेंशियल चीज़ भी चाहिए होगी। तो जब ये पेरिस एग्रीमेंट हुआ था, तो तब जब उन्होंने कहा था कि हमें 1.5 डिग्री से दुनिया का टेम्परेचर कम करना है, तो वो कमिटमेंट हुई थी जिसके सब इंडिया भी सिग्नेटरी है। तो उसके साथ साथ पैरेलली उन्होंने एक रियलाइजेशन किया था, एक फाइनेंशियल इकोसिस्टम भी चाहिए कि बेटे कि पैसे भी लगेंगे इस चीज़ को करने के लिए, ऐसा तो नहीं है, बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे लगेंगे इसको करने के लिए। तो इसी टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करने के लिए दो काफ़ी दिग्गज स्पीकर्स हैं यहाँ पे हमारे साथ। तो सबसे पहले मैं बुलाना चाहूँगा प्रिया सुंदर को। सो प्रिया ADB के लिए काम करती हैं और शी इज़ फेयरली वेल एक्सपीरियंस्ड एंड she holds a BTech from IIT Madras and MBA from IIM Calcutta, CFA भी कर रखा है, बहुत पढ़ाई की है, दुनिया के बारे में बहुत जानती हैं और एशियन डेवलपमेंट बैंक के साथ काफ़ी देर से जुड़ी हुई हैं। और हमारा भी प्रिया के साथ काफ़ी अरसे से हमारे साथ काम कर रही हैं, तो काफ़ी वेल इन्फॉर्म्ड प्रोफेशनल हैं। तो ये हमारे को थोड़ी सी दिशा देंगी कि दुनिया हिंदुस्तान को कैसे देख रही है और कैसे हिंदुस्तान में पैसा आ रहा है या और भी कैसे आ सकता है और उसमें आप तक कैसे पहुंच सकता है, तो उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे। सो थैंक यू प्रिया, थैंक्स फॉर जॉइनिंग। एंड देन वी हैव नेहा कुमार, प्लीज़। सो एक्चुअली she was part of our Kutumb's initially also 4 years back, 4 साल पहले भी वो थी। एंड तो जैसे मैं आपको बता रहा था कि एक इंस्टीट्यूशन है क्लाइमेट बॉन्ड इनिशिएटिव, जबकि वो खुद बताएंगी कि ये कैसे फॉर्म हुआ था, लेकिन पेरिस एग्रीमेंट के बाद ही एक इनिशिएटिव पैरेलली रन हुआ था थ्रू नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, जहाँ पे ये क्लाइमेट बॉन्ड इनिशिएटिव बना था। सो वी विल टॉक टू हर टू अंडरस्टैंड कि क्लाइमेट बॉन्ड इनिशिएटिव है क्या आखिर और कैसे उठा रहे हैं या कंपनीज का फ़ायदा उठा रहे हैं। काफ़ी डेवलपर्स ऑलरेडी ग्रीन बॉन्ड लेके आ रहे हैं, इट्स अ वेरी कॉमन प्रैक्टिस ऑफ ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स इन यूरोप एंड US। जो डेवलपर्स खुद अपने ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स लेकर आते हैं और उस पर काफ़ी सब्सक्रिप्शन होती है, उसके बारे में भी इनसे हम बातचीत करेंगे। सो थैंक यू नेहा फॉर ज्वाइनिंग, थैंक यू सो मच। सो इट्स हमारे पास इतनी सुंदर कोई स्लाइड्स नहीं है दिखाने के लिए, जैसे सर और मैम के पास थी, तो ज़्यादा ये बातचीत के ज़रिए ही होगा। तो आपसे उम्मीद करते हैं कि आप भी हमारे को सवाल पूछते रहिएगा बीच में। एंड ये दोनों लोग ऐसे हैं कि जो किसी ना किसी तरीके से मिनिस्ट्री के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, अलग अलग तरह की मिनिस्ट्री के साथ। नेहा RBI के साथ इस वक्त पॉलिसी पेपर एक निकला है क्लाइमेट एक्शन के ऊपर, उसके ऊपर काफ़ी जुड़ी हुई हैं। प्रिया ADB में काम करती है, तो मिनिस्ट्री अलग अलग मिनिस्ट्री के साथ, वो फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री भी हो सकती है, वो हाउसिंग मिनिस्ट्री भी हो सकती है। तो कुछ भी अगर आपको लगता है, कुछ आपके सुझाव हैं, तो हो सकता है इनके ज़रिए वहाँ पे चीज़ें पहुँच भी सकती हैं। सो फर्स्ट वील स्टार्ट विद प्रिया। सो जस्ट वांटेड टू आई एम जस्ट एक्सपेक्टिंग कि अगर आप थोड़ा सा इफ़ यू कैन जस्ट एक्सप्लेन कि ADB किस तरीके से इस चीज़ में जुड़ा हुआ है और कैसे वो एक एंड यूज़र वो हो सकता है डेवलपर हो सकता है वो लोन लेने वाला आदमी हो, तो कैसे ये पूरा चैनल वर्क करता है, तो उसके ऊपर इफ़ यू कैन थ्रो सम लाइट, और व्हाट आर द प्लान्स ऑफ ADB टुवर्ड्स इंडिया एंड व्हाई?
Sure. Thanks, Monu. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll talk in a mix of English, Hindi दोनों में. तो ADB जिन लोगों को पता नहीं है, मैं पहले थोड़ा ADB के बारे में बता देती हूँ. आप लोगों ने तो वर्ल्ड बैंक तो सुना ही होगा, तो ADB इज़ समथिंग लाइक दैट, लेकिन हमारा ऑपरेशन सिर्फ एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन में है. करीब 40-45 कंट्रीज़ में हम काम करते हैं, लेकिन इंडिया हमारे लिए सबसे बड़ा मार्केट है आज इस वक्त. सो ऑलमोस्ट 1/4 ऑफ आवर ऑपरेशंस 25% तो इंडिया में ही होता है. और मैं विद इन ADB मेजॉरिटी काम तो पब्लिक सेक्टर में होता है. गवर्नमेंट्स को हम लोन देते हैं, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स हो, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट्स हो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स या हर चीज़. लेकिन प्राइवेट सेक्टर अभी बढ़ता जा रहा है. अभी तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर ऑलरेडी 20% के ऊपर है, और इवेंचुअली ओवर द लॉन्ग टर्म हमें 50-50 बनाने का प्लान है. प्राइवेट सेक्टर में पैसे आ रहे हैं, और मैं प्राइवेट सेक्टर को रिप्रेजेंट करती हूँ विद इन ADB. So ADB as a development organization, we are committed to the sustainable development goals of United Nations. तो हमारे लिए सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ है कि हम जो भी लोन देंगे it has to comply with certain objectives. क्या है वो objectives? Financial inclusion, gender equality, climate change, sustainability. ये 3 चीज़ें जो है among all the SDGs सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है हमारे लिए. So हम जो भी lending करते हैं इंडिया में हो या कहीं पे भी, they will always have some or the other element of these things. पिछले 2 सालों में हमारे लिए क्लाइमेट चेंज वाला जो एजेंडा है वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा है, काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंस दिया जा रहा है. सो इन इंडिया वी हैव डन अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क ऑलरेडी इन अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग स्पेस. अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग हमारा जो कई हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ के साथ हमने काम किया है, इंक्लूडिंग IIFL तो अभी रीसेंट है, इसी साल हुआ है. All of this is complying with the goals of financial inclusion, women empowerment. We सिर्फ EWS और LIG जो लो इनकम ग्रुप्स हैं, इन्हीं को हम लेंड करते हैं. हम हाई इनकम वाले हाउसिंग में नहीं जाते हैं. सो हमारे सारे लेंडिंग ऑपरेशंस. सो पिछले 2 साल में दिस इज शिफ्टिंग स्लोली टू क्लाइमेट एक्टिविटीज़. सो ओवर द नेक्स्ट 2 years, बिकॉज हम भी पेरिस एग्रीमेंट के एक सिग्नेटरी हैं, हमारे लिए बोला गया है कि अगले 2 साल में 100% हमारे जो ऑपरेशंस में कोई ना कोई क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस का एंगल आना ही चाहिए. सो इट्स नॉट इनफ इफ वी जस्ट डू फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन एंड जेंडर इक्वालिटी. वी हैव टू डू all of our operations have to have a climate angle. And क्यों sustainability की तरफ जा रहे हैं ये तो हम already देख चुके हैं. all the speakers have told why it is important to do things in a sustainable manner. So as far as climate finance is concerned, we have a budget of about $100 billion to be deployed over the next 10 years. That's a big amount. उसमें से around 10-12% तो इंडिया में आएगा और प्राइवेट सेक्टर में भी आएगा. तो काफ़ी अमाउंट है इंडिया में आएगा. बट सो गिवन दैट वी आर अ लार्ज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, हमारी एक्सपर्टीज़ फाइनेंसिंग की है. वी व्हाट वी वांट टू डू टू अचीव आवर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ complying with the SDGs, we try to work with partners within the country, say here in India, who are directly related or who are directly catering to the target segment that we want to achieve. So हमें अगर EWS LIG को टारगेट करना है तो हम डायरेक्टली जाके नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ना इतनी एक्सपर्टीज़ है और काफ़ी सो वी आर अ डेवलपमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. हम लोग डायरेक्टली ऐसे डील कर भी नहीं सकते. वी आर ऑपरेटिंग इन मल्टीपल कंट्रीज़. लोकल एक्सपर्टीज़ जो है हमारे पास इतनी नहीं है जितनी जैसे IIFL जैसी कंपनी के पास होगी. दैट इज़ वाई वी ट्राई टू पार्टनर विद इंस्टीट्यूशंस लाइक IIFL who will directly be working with people like you, developers, retail home loans देंगे या SME financiers हो या anybody working in that segment which we want to target. So last year we gave a loan to IIFL. So we gave them a mandate specifically. Multiple loans we have given. Part of it is to lend to developers like you. ये concessional finance दिया है हमने IIFL को ये बोलते हुए कि ये concession जो है वो पास ऑन होनी चाहिए आपको, प्रोवाइडेड आप ग्रीन सर्टिफाइड होम बनाएंगे, ग्रीन सर्टिफाइड कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं बनाएंगे. सिमिलरली वी हैव गिवन देम अ लोन टू बी गिवन टू रिटेल बोरोवर्स ऑल्सो, होम लोन. होम लोन तो ऑफ कोर्स थोड़ा मुश्किल है अभी, ग्रीन सर्टिफाइड इंसिस्ट करने में थोड़ा मुश्किल है क्योंकि वो मार्केट अभी है नहीं. अगर स्पेशली अगर सेल्फ कंस्ट्रक्शन करते हैं तो वहाँ पे तो वो मार्केट अभी बना नहीं है. लेकिन उसमें भी हमने जो लोन दिया है बोला है कि एक सर्टेन परसेंटेज आप ग्रीन बिल्डिंग खरीदने के लिए ही मार्क करो. So that is how we operate in India and in different countries. That's
थैंक यू. सो थोड़ी सी चीज़ों पे मैं रीट्रेट करना चाहूँगा. इन्होंने बोला $100 बिलियन. $100 बिलियन हो गया 8 लाख करोड़. उन्होंने बोला उसमें से 8 लाख करोड़ में से 12 से 14% हिंदुस्तान में डिप्लॉय होना है. तो आप 1.25 लाख करोड़ की बात कर रहे हैं हम. तो जस्ट आपको मैं फिगर्स बताना चाह रहा था कि 1.25 लाख करोड़ इंडिया में ADB इन्वेस्ट करेगा, जिसमें से काफ़ी हिस्सा कुछ प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जाएगा, कुछ पब्लिक सेक्टर में जाएगा. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे हम IIFL हाउसिंग फाइनेंस है, तो जब हमने भी हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी को कंसीव किया तो हमें भी पता था एक तरह की हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज़ हैं जो बड़ी बड़ी कंपनी हैं, वो बड़े बड़े तबकों को ही लोन देती हैं, कम रेट पे देती हैं, उन्हीं को करती हैं. तो लेकिन हमने देखा वहाँ पे मार्केट इतनी कंपेटिटिव है या बहुत मुश्किल है, और जो डिमांड है वो बड़ी कंसनट्रेटेड है. तो फिर हमने कहा कि हम अफोर्डेबल में जाएंगे. तो मुश्किल ज़रूर है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग भी करना, क्योंकि उसमें प्रॉफिट निकालना, ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा है. ये मैं आपको क्यों बता रहा हूँ कि आप भी डेवलपर हैं, आप भी इसी तरीके से सोचते हैं, अरे भाई प्रीमियम हाउसिंग करते हैं, बढ़िया है, कम कस्टमर है, किचकिच कम है, मार्जिन अच्छा है. लेकिन मैं आपको बता दूं कि फ्यूचर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का ही होने वाला है. वो वाली मार्केट जो आपकी है वो श्रिंक होगी, ओवर कंपेटिटिव होगी, राइट. और वो थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा ऑर्गेनाइज्ड और कॉर्पोरेट बिल्डर की तरफ जा रही है, राइट. हमें पता है कि कैसे वो हो रही है. मैं इसलिए कहना चाह रहा हूँ क्योंकि आपको जब तक बिजनेस केस अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का समझ नहीं आएगा, आप कहेंगे सस्टेनेबिलिटी तो छोड़ो, मैं तो अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग ही नहीं बनानी, राइट. तो आपको मैं ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि फ्यूचर जो है इसी चीज़ का है. मुश्किल है, लेकिन अगर आप इसका आंसर ढूंढ लें तो यहीं से ही आपको थ्रेड मिलेगा, क्योंकि सारी चीज़ शुरू होती है फाइनेंसिंग से, राइट. अगर फाइनेंसिंग अवेलेबल है तो अल्टीमेटली आपका भी जितना आप काम करते हैं, मेरे ख्याल 70% लोग तो लोन लेके ही घर लेते हैं, राइट. तो किसी तरीके से फाइनेंशियल इकोसिस्टम से आपका बिजनेस जुड़ा ही हुआ है. आप उससे नकार नहीं कर सकते और आप उससे बाहर नहीं रह सकते. आपको तो करना ही वैसे होगा. हम भी वैसा ही कर रहे हैं कि हमें पता है कि अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग, EWS LIG या वो सब्सिडी स्कीम आई, तो हमने भी अपने बिजनेस को उसी से अलाइन किया. तो मैं आपसे यही गुजारिश करता हूँ कि अफोर्डेबल और सस्टेनेबल एक बिजनेस प्रॉपोजिशन है. फंडिंग की लाइनें इसके साथ जुड़ती जाएंगी, कल को बैंक्स भी देंगे. अब थोड़ी सी नेहा हमें बताएंगी कि इंडिया में इसको लेके क्या हो रहा है, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा हम पीछे रहे हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ पॉलिसीज़ ऑन दिस सेक्टर, बट बहुत तेज़ी से RBI इसके ऊपर काफ़ी ध्यान दे रहा है और अब बहुत जल्द उसके ऊपर एक गाइडलाइंस होंगी. सो नेहा, मैं आपको 2 स्टेजेस में आई विल रिक्वेस्ट यू, थोड़ा सा अगर आप CBI के बारे में बता दें, और फिर ये जो RBI का पॉलिसी पेपर आया है उसके बारे में बता दें, जो विच विल फाइनली इम्पैक्ट आई थिंक पीपल, फाइनेंशियल कंपनी और अ डेवलपर. या
थैंक यू मोनू. सबसे पहले तो पहली बार आज हुआ है कि मेरे नाम के आगे दिग्गज किसी ने लगाया है, सो थैंक यू. हिंदी तो ठीक है, और 2 शब्द आते हैं मराठी के, थांबो नाको एंड थांबो. तो जब आपको बोलना है कि मुझे स्टॉप, यू कैन ऑल्सो थांबो, ठीक है. तीसरी बात ये है कि CBI से सब लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं, किस CBI की बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो हम सेंट्रल ब्यूरो ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेशन बिल्कुल नहीं है, पर बॉन्ड ज़रूर है. ठीक है, अब हम बताते हैं. तो क्लाइमेट बॉन्ड्स इनिशिएटिव के बारे में थोड़ा सा बताऊंगी, और वो 2009 में सेटअप हुआ था एज अ वेरी स्मॉल नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. लेकिन हमने क्या देखा, हमने देखा कि जब तक बड़े इन्वेस्टर्स का मनी मूव नहीं करेगा तब तक शायद पॉलिसी भी शिफ्ट नहीं होगी. तो बॉन्ड मार्केट जो है उसमें पूरे ग्लोबल बॉन्ड मार्केट में $130 ट्रिलियन है. ओके, उसका आप देखिए इंडियन बॉन्ड मार्केट का भी थोड़ा सा पता होगा. $2 ट्रिलियन इंडियन बॉन्ड मार्केट का साइज है, जिसमें कॉर्पोरेट बॉन्ड्स जो होते हैं वो अराउंड 400 बिलियन है. तो नेचर बहुत डिफरेंट है हमारे बॉन्ड मार्केट की, और शैलो भी है. और इस बॉन्ड मार्केट में पब्लिक सेक्टर ज़्यादा बोरो करता है, तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को थोड़ा कम स्पेस है हमारे इसके अंदर. लेकिन बात यह है कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी के जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, जो ग्रीन का कॉन्सेप्ट है, वो कैपिटल मार्केट्स उठा रहे हैं. क्यों उठा रहे हैं? जो उनके इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, पेंशन फंड्स हैं, ये ज़्यादातर यूरोप में हैं, यूएस में हैं, जापान में हैं, ये अपना पोर्टफोलियो मैंडेट चेंज कर रहे हैं. इनको चाहिए ग्रीन और क्रेडिबल ग्रीन. ऐसा नहीं कि आपने बोल दिया कि ग्रीन हो एंड देन देयर इज नो वे टू वेरीफाई दैट यू आर ग्रीन. ओके, वो कहाँ इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं? ज़्यादातर तो डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमीज़ में हो रहा है, क्योंकि वहाँ पर उनको पता है कि कितना रिस्क है, कितना. इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स में ज़्यादा रिस्क होता है, एसोसिएटेड रिस्क है ही, रिस्क प्रीमिया इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स में ज़्यादा होगा ही होगा. लेकिन यहाँ पर उनको रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट ज़्यादा मिल जाता है, क्योंकि आपका जो कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट, बहुत सारी कॉस्ट कम हो जाती हैं, लेकिन पॉलिटिकल रिस्क वगैरह सारी की सारी कॉस्ट बढ़ भी जाती हैं. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि रिस्क प्रीमियम ज़्यादा ही रहता है, लेकिन उनको रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट फॉर सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट्स यहाँ पर मिलता है 2-3 गुना ज़्यादा. एनीवे, ये तो पहली बात हुई. तो धीरे धीरे ये मार्केट, अब आपको ग्लोबल अगर बताऊं तो $2 ट्रिलियन, अब ये नंबर्स समझने में मुश्किल हो जाते हैं, ठीक है, ट्रिलियंस में ही हैं सारी चीज़ें, ठीक है. $2 ट्रिलियन ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स हैं. सेकंड कैटेगरी जो ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स की है वो बिल्डिंग्स में है वर्ल्ड ओवर. इंडिया ने भी थोड़ा सा मिरर किया है. रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में सबसे ज़्यादा बॉन्ड्स हैं इंडिया में, $25 बिलियन के ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स हैं. बिल्डिंग सेक्टर में अभी तक एक भी ग्रीन बॉन्ड उस तरह से नहीं आया है. रीट का आया है, वो जो रियल एस्टेट ट्रस्ट है, उसका ग्रीन लोन है, बॉन्ड नहीं है, ठीक है. तो जो बिल्डिंग सेक्टर है उसकी जो अपॉर्चुनिटी है, IFC ने भी बताया है 2030 तक ग्रीन रेसिडेंशियल opportunity is $1.25 trillion in India. Okay? So, what are we doing? हम लोग बात किस चीज़ की कर रहे हैं? हम शुरुआत करते हैं अपॉर्चुनिटी से, उसके बाद देखते हैं कि इस अपॉर्चुनिटी को टैप के कैसे किया जा सकता है. एक तो बॉन्ड है, बाकी लोन्स भी हैं, बाकी आपके दूसरे फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स भी हैं. फिर तीसरी बात करते हैं कि इसमें पॉलिसी क्या कर रही है. और जहाँ तक मैंने सुना, आप जो पिछला जो सेशन था उसमें भी एक बात तो पक्की है कि कोई एक जगह से सोल्यूशन सारा नहीं आएगा. सिटी लेवल पे भी बात होनी ज़रूरी है, स्टेट्स की भी बात होनी ज़रूरी है, सेंट्रल पॉलिसी कहाँ चेंज करेगी, कहाँ इंसेंटिव स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, उसकी भी बात ज़रूरी है. तो अब वो काम शुरू हो चुका है इंडिया में. पिछले 3 सालों में बहुत ही एक्सेलरेटेड पेस पे काम शुरू हुआ है, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस में भी और RBI में भी, जो कि फाइनेंशियल पॉलिसी और रेगुलेशन पे काम है. लेकिन महुआ से आप बात करें, जो हाउसिंग और अर्बन अफेयर्स है, वो म्यूनिसिपल फाइनेंसिंग में भी इंसेंटिव दे रही है, वो हाउसिंग सेक्टर में भी फाइनेंसिंग दे रही है. सबसे बड़ी बात है, हाउसिंग को एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर का दर्जा दे दिया है. नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पाइपलाइन में हाउसिंग फॉर ऑल है, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग उसको क्रिएट ही करना है. उसकी पाइपलाइन 1 लाख करोड़ की है 2025 तक सब सेक्टर्स में, ठीक है. तो गवर्नमेंट तो इट इज़ पार्ट ऑफ इट्स मैंडेट. अब सेकेंड राउंड में हम जाएंगे, लेकिन एक और चीज़ बता देती हूँ. ग्रीन सॉवरन बॉन्ड इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट ने 22 में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस से बोला कि हम कॉर्पोरेट तो कर ही रहा है, लेकिन हम भी बनाना चाहते हैं इस एसेट क्लास को, एंड हम भी चाहते हैं कि जो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं इनका पैसा जो ग्रीन के पीछे भाग रहे हैं वो हमारे पास आए, ठीक है. दीज आर इंटरनेशनल इन्वेस्टर्स. तो इंडिया इज ऑल्सो गोइंग टू इशू अ ग्रीन सॉवरन बॉन्ड, जो कि USD में नहीं है. सही बात है कि USD में नहीं है, इंडियन रुपी डिनोमिनेटेड है वो, लेकिन उसमें भी फॉरेन पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टर्स को हम अट्रैक्ट कर रहे हैं. तो अभी उनका ग्रीन बॉन्ड फ्रेमवर्क भी आ गया है और उसके ऊपर एक ओपिनियन भी आ गई है, जो कि करना ज़रूरी होता है. और उसमें बिल्डिंग्स हैं, उसमें हाउसिंग है, और उसमें जो हम आज सुबह बात कर रहे थे, जो ओपिनियन कह रही है कि यहाँ पर मल्टीपल स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, पॉइंट इन टाइम स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, इसको इन्वेस्टर कैसे देखेगा, तो उन्होंने क्वेश्चन उठाया है, ठीक है. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग. एक और चीज़ बता देती हूँ, देन आई विल गिव इट बैक टू यू एंड देन प्रॉब्ली विल कम टू द RBI क्वेश्चन लेटर. क्लाइमेट बॉन्ड्स इनिशिएटिव और इंडियन ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स काउंसिल ने अभी एक MOU साइन किया है, जो कि नेट ज़ीरो बिल्डिंग्स के ऊपर है. नेट ज़ीरो का मतलब देखिए, नेट ज़ीरो का आप कितने लोग जानते हैं? नेट ज़ीरो
क्या है नेट जीरो? ये हम तो आप तो जानेंगे, लेकिन डेवलपर्स में कोई बताए, किसी ने सुना है नेट जीरो? कोई भी बता दीजिए नेट जीरो से कम मतलब क्या है, अगर आपने बोला था। थोड़ा सा क्लैरिफाई कर देती हूँ। तो इंडिया ने अपना नेट जीरो टारगेट बोला है 2070। इसमें नेट का इंपॉर्टेंस समझना जरूरी है। कभी भी एमिशन जीरो नहीं हो सकता है, होगा ही होगा, आप प्रोड्यूस करोगे ही करोगे, लेकिन आप जितना प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो उतना रिमूव कर रहे हो, वो नेट है। ठीक है, तो इसमें सब सेक्टर्स आएंगे। एनर्जी सेक्टर आएगा, बिल्डिंग इज द थर्ड मोस्ट एमिटिंग सेक्टर। ओके, तो बिल्डिंग में जैसे मिस्टर लाल ने बताया, पूर्वा जी ने बताया कि जो यहाँ के अप्लायंसेस हैं, जो बिल्ट मटेरियल है, सारी चीज़ें एमिट कर रही हैं। ठीक है, और लास्ट सेंटेंस एंड आई विल गिव इट बैक, जो डिफरेंस है यूरोप और डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमीज में बिल्डिंग्स बन चुकी हैं, करेक्ट, वहाँ पर रेट्रोफिटिंग होनी है, वहाँ पर एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी को दोबारा से फिट करना है, हमें 70% बनानी है। तो जो एक वर्ड है लीप फ्रॉग, उसकी मुझे हिंदी नहीं आती, मेरा फेवरेट वर्ड भी नहीं है वो। सब लोग बोलते हैं इंडिया शुड लीप फ्रॉग, इंडिया शुड लीप फ्रॉग, बट एक्चुअली आपको सारा स्टॉक क्रिएट करना है। तो आपके पास तो इससे बड़ा बिजनेस केस हो ही नहीं सकता कि यहाँ पर अब लोग चाह रहे हैं कि पैसा लगाएं और आपको क्रिएट करना है, तो ग्रीन तो आपको जोड़ना ही पड़ेगा उसमें। तो पैसा भी है, अपॉर्चुनिटी भी है, बनाना भी है, तो उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे पॉलिसी।
थैंक यू नेहा, दैट वाज pretty इंस्पायरिंग। तो ये थोड़ा सा कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऐसा है, थोड़ा सा जैसे काफ़ी लोग आई एम श्योर स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करते होंगे, तो वो आज जो वैल्यू होती है स्टॉक की, वो ये मान के चलती है कि 5 साल के बाद, 3 साल के बाद, 5 साल के बाद, 7 साल के बाद क्या होने वाला है। क्योंकि हम उस मार्केट को ज़्यादा हम देखते हैं, हम समझते हैं, तो हम उसके ऊपर पैसा लगाते हैं कि इसका 3 ईयर फॉरवर्ड या 5 ईयर फॉरवर्ड प्रॉफिट्स को आज डिस्काउंट करते हैं। पर आपने देखा होगा कि कुछ पॉलिसीज़ भी जो होती हैं, जो हमारे को दिखती नहीं है, लेकिन वो फ्यूचर वही है, राइट। तो इसलिए एज अ स्मार्ट बिजनेस पर्सन अगर आप फोरसाइट रखते हैं कि क्या होने वाला है, क्योंकि अगर इंडिया है सेट के 2070 तक नेट ज़ीरो होना है इंडिया को, तो सारे सेक्टर्स को इस तरफ दौड़ना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि बाहर से पैसा आएगा ही नहीं अगर आप इस पर कंप्लाई नहीं करेंगे, आएगा ही नहीं। और हमें अगर ग्रो करना है तो फॉरेन कैपिटल तो चाहिए ही चाहिए। वो तो कहेंगे कि ये नहीं है तो हम देते ही नहीं तुम्हें पैसा, ये तो प्री रिक्विजिट है, राइट। आज की डेट में जो मैम बात करी थी, पेंशन फंड्स या दूसरे फंड्स हैं, उन्होंने तो लगा ही दिया है कि भाई यहाँ पे आप तो पहले हट जाइए कि आपको पैसे देंगे या नहीं देंगे, पहले आप ये बताइए इस पहलू पे आप कैसे स्टैंड करते हैं, ठीक स्टैंड करते, चलो अब आ जाओ। तो अगर पीछे से पैसे की सप्लाई ही ऐसी आएगी, तो आगे वो सरकार हो या हम एज ए कंपनी हो, हमें भी आगे ऐसा ही कंडीशन लगाना पड़ेगा कि अगर आप ऐसे करोगे तभी हम देंगे, नहीं तो हम भी नहीं दे सकते। तो ये ऐसा हो ही जाएगा एकदम, इसमें कोई दो राय ही नहीं है कि ऐसा नहीं होगा। तो ये आपको भी थोड़ा सा एंटिसिपेट करने में आसानी होनी चाहिए कि भाई क्या होने वाला है, क्योंकि आप आज जो बैठे हैं, आप तो रियल एस्टेट का बिजनेस लंबा है, 5 साल 10 साल 15 साल, उसकी फिर अगली पीढ़ी आएगी, तो जनरेशन टू जनरेशन का बिजनेस है। तो आने वाला वक्त 3-5 साल में ही बहुत बदलने वाला है। तो अगर आप चीज़ें अलाइन कर देंगे इससे, तो आप एक ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग यूज़ केस बन जाएंगे। तो आप कोई भी चीज़ ऐसी करते हैं, उदाहरण के तौर पे अगर ADB को हमारे में इंटरेस्ट आया कि हाँ इनको लोन देते हैं, इनसे काम करते हैं, इसलिए क्योंकि हम कुछ हटके कर रहे थे, नहीं तो इनके पास तो और भी हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज हो सकती थी जिसको दे सकते थे। तो अपॉर्चुनिटी ऐसे ही क्रिएट होगी जब आप कुछ ऐसी चीज़ करेंगे, वक्त से पहले आप जांच लें कि क्या होने वाला है। तो ये सेशन सिर्फ इसीलिए आपको बताने के लिए है कि कैसे ही पैसा मूव करेगा, राइट। तो वो ATIB हो या ना हो, कुछ ना कुछ किसी अलग शेप और फॉर्म में कुछ ना कुछ होगा, और तभी ये चीज़ें पूरी हो पाएंगी, राइट। सो ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट है इस सेशन का कि आप इसका फाइनेंशियल एस्पेक्ट समझें कि क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में और कैसे चीज़ें बदल रही हैं, राइट। तो बैंकिंग सेक्टर तो पूरा ऐसे होगा। सो before I come back to you, Neha, so Priya, I just wanted to know from you, कोई ऐसा आपको globally कोई ऐसा example आपके दिमाग में है या आप रेफर कर सकते हो जहाँ पे आपको लगता है कि ये एक छोटी सी सक्सेस स्टोरी हो, मे बी एट अ डेवलपर एंड और इन जनरल एज अ कंट्री जहाँ पे उन्होंने सक्सेसफुली अचीव किया?
टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट मोनू, अभी जैसे एज फार एज ADB के जो ऑपरेशंस है, वी हैव मेड अ गुड स्टार्ट इन इंडिया विद IIFL ट्रांजैक्शन. बाकी देशों में इतना डेवलप नहीं है. इनफैक्ट कई देशों में जहाँ हम ऑपरेट करते हैं तो अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग ही इतना डेवलप नहीं है जितना, ग्रीन तो दूर की बात है, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग ही इतना डेवलप नहीं है. जैसे साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज़, अभी मैं बोलूँगी हमारे ही नेबर्स हो, बांग्लादेश, नेपाल, श्रीलंका, इतना डेवलप नहीं है. द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग, दे डोंट हैव पॉलिसीज़ लाइक वी हैड. PMAY का जैसे पॉलिसी बना था, वहाँ पे ये सब ही नहीं है. तो वहाँ पे तो उतना ही स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं हम लोग, अभी उनके साथ काम करेंगे. और सब ग्रीन हाउसिंग जो है हमने फिलीपींस में किया है, जो फिलीपींस हमारा हेडक्वार्टर्स है, वहाँ पे हमने काम किया है. बट टेक्निकली नॉट द हाउसिंग इंडस्ट्री, इट इज़ मोर ऑफ अ माइक्रो फाइनेंस इंडस्ट्री. सो माइक्रो फाइनेंस लोन्स जो देते हैं वहाँ पे, तो वो लोग ही हाउसिंग लोन्स भी देते हैं, लाइक माइक्रो हाउसिंग बोलते हैं उनको, छोटे वेरी वेरी स्मॉल साइज्ड हाउसेस, मेनली फॉर होम इम्प्रूवमेंट्स, या 1 रूम 2 रूम ऐड करो. यहाँ पे हमने पायलट किया है 1-2 साल पहले, ये प्रोजेक्ट किया हुआ है. उसके लिए भी सिंस अवेयरनेस नहीं है वहाँ पे भी, नया चीज़ है ना, तो उसके साथ साथ एक टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस हमने लगाया है. तो टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस क्या होता है, हम थोड़ा पैसा लगाते हैं, इट्स लाइक अ ग्रांट, इट्स लाइक अ मनी कमिंग इन फ्रॉम अ डोनर. तो उससे जो है ट्रेनिंग देते हैं लोगों को, सर्टिफिकेशन वगैरह में हेल्प करते हैं, या कोई चीज़ उनको पता नहीं है ये सब सिखाने में हम लोग पैसा डालते हैं. तो समथिंग सिमिलर हम लोग IIFL के साथ भी किया है हमने. टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस जो है एक चीज़ बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है इस मार्केट को डेवलप करने के लिए. लोन देना तो अपनी जगह, जब किसी को पता ही नहीं कि करना क्या है लोन के साथ, कैसे करना है, तो कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होता है. सो टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस यहाँ पे बहुत काम आता है, जो हम इंडिया में भी कर रहे हैं और आगे भी करते जाएंगे. तो इसमें क्या होता है, विद IIFL वी हैव, एज दे मेंशन्ड अर्लियर, सेप्ट यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ हमने ट्रेनिंग सेशंस कई जगह ऑर्गेनाइज किए हैं फॉर डेवलपर्स, पॉलिसी मेकर्स, हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज, जितने भी लोग हैं इस इकोसिस्टम में जो काम कर रहे हैं, सबको थोड़ा एजुकेट किया है कि हाँ कैसे कर सकते हैं, कैसे आगे जा सकते हैं सस्टेनेबिलिटी इनिशिएटिव्स को लेके इस चीज़ पे. सो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो एन इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ दिस. एंड आई ऑल्सो वॉन्ट टू make a point that it's not just ADB or international money, as Neha ji mentioned, pension funds coming in. Even the domestic markets are moving in that direction today. So हम बात करते रहते हैं कई हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज, बैंक सबके साथ, तो सब लोग बोल रहे हैं कि हमें भी ग्रीन करना है, लेकिन अभी भी किसी को ठीक से पता नहीं कि कैसे करना है. तो हम उनकी मदद करेंगे, हम लोग उनके साथ काम करेंगे. IIFL is an early adopter of this green housing, so they are actually bigger experts than us also in this area. We are new, rather they have been here for a longer time in green housing. But more and more finance companies are adopting it, especially when policies also will be moving in that direction. More and more companies will come in. अभी NHB के भी कुछ schemes हैं already. वो लोग NHB is working with some other DFIs. They also have schemes for both for developers as well as for retail housing in the green space specifically. तो ऐसे और आते रहेंगे. This is just the beginning. As Monu ji mentioned, eventually at one point green will be the norm. Financing हो तो green ही होगा, normal financing मिलेगा ही नहीं. So that is something to keep in mind.
Thank you. I think जो प्रिया भी कह रही हैं वो सिर्फ यही चीज़ कह रही हैं कि भाई वो फाइनेंसिंग का सोर्स विद प्री कंडीशंस ऐसे ही होगा. सो दैट दिस विल बिकम अ नॉर्म इटसेल्फ. सो ज़्यादा लिक्विडिटी यही होगी, रिलेटिवली सस्ती भी हो सकती है ये वाला जो फंडिंग है. सो यू हैव टू सी दैट हाउ विल दिस होल थिंग विल वर्क, राइट. इट इज़ लाइक दिस. आज की डेट में आप जितनी महंगी गाड़ी लेते हो उतना ज़्यादा टैक्स लगा देते हो, ठीक है जी. अगर आपको वो सीसी के साथ उन्होंने लिंक किया हुआ है कि अगर इतनी सीसी की गाड़ी से ऊपर लेंगे तो और भी ज़्यादा टैक्स है. अरे तो भाई जो दे सकता है उससे और लो, राइट. जो नहीं दे सकता है उससे कम लो. तो यही चीज़ सब जगह होगी. आप फाइनेंसिंग में भी ऐसा होगा. अच्छा आप दे सकते हो ज़्यादा तो आप और दीजिए. तो बिकॉज जब मैंने शुरू में भी कहा था, मैं फिर से मुझे लगता है कि वर्ल्ड इज़ गोइंग trying to equalize and create an equilibrium by taking more from people who have more and trying to give to people who have less, because नहीं तो दुनिया पूरी उल्टी सीधी हो जाएगी. तो ये ऐसा ही होगा. तो हो सकता है आगे जाके, आज आपको डिफिकल्ट लगता हो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी से अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग, बट आई कैन टेल यू इफ यू कैन वर्क इट वेल, दिस विल बी मोर प्रॉफिटेबल. आपका चर्न ऑफ प्रोडक्ट ज़्यादा होगा, फास्टर मूविंग होगा, राइट, और आपका रोटेशन ऑफ मनी. अल्टीमेटली तो IRR की गेम है, और क्या है, राइट, कि आपको अगर आपने कुछ मिला भी आपको, अगर 5 साल में मिला और जो 2 साल में मिल सकता है, वो 2 साल वाला ज़्यादा बढ़िया है. आया गया आपने री इन्वेस्ट किया. तो आई थिंक फाइनेंशियली ऑल्सो इट विल बी अ गुड थॉट ऑन दैट. तो अब थोड़ा सा आई जस्ट वांटेड टू नो फ्रॉम यू कि जैसे हमने देखा है कई इंडिविजुअल डेवलपर्स भी अपना ग्रीन बॉन्ड लाए हैं. आज शायद आप लोग अल्टीमेटली आप जो अपनी फंडिंग है अपनी सीमित रखते हैं कि यार बैंकों से ले लेंगे हम, यही है, पर दुनिया बदल रही है. तो कुछ उसके बारे में आप बताना चाहेंगे कि कुछ ऐसे जो ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स हैं जो इवन डेवलपर्स भी लेके आते हैं, तो ला पा रहे हैं कि नहीं ला पा रहे हैं, और हाउ इंटरेस्टेड आर दे द वर्ल्ड मार्केट इन दिस. मे बी इंडिया इज मे बी 5-7 years behind, but that is also some money. That means you can raise your money in the international market floating your bonds, your own bonds as a developer. Can you throw some light on that?
हाँ, तो ज़रूर मैं बता सकती हूँ, और मैं अभी एक इंडियन डेवलपर का नाम नहीं बता सकती, लेकिन मैं ये भी बताना चाहूँगी कि ठीक है वो Tier 2 डेवलपर नहीं है वो Tier 1 डेवलपर ही, लेकिन बहुत ही एक्टिव कॉन्वर्सेशन में इन्वॉल्व हैं टू रेज अ ग्रीन बॉन्ड. एंड उन्होंने हमसे बात की कि सर्टिफिकेशन कैसे हो सकता है, क्या हो सकता है, तो वो उन्होंने बात पिछले साल शुरू कर दी है. तो टाइम लगता है कि आप हर चीज़ समझे. जैसे IIFL के साथ हम लोगों ने कम 4-5 साल हम लोगों ने हमारी बात शुरू हुई, ठीक है. तो अब जो हम जिस स्टेज पे हम यहाँ पर हैं, IIFL ने अपना पूरा इंटरनल सिस्टम को डेवलप किया है कि हमें क्या क्या देखना पड़ेगा. ऐसे ही डेवलपर्स भी देख रहे हैं, ठीक है, कि उनको कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि क्या ग्रीन है क्या नहीं है. सबसे पहले तो सबसे बड़ी बात यही है, ठीक है. तो डेफिनेशंस होना ज़रूरी है, स्टैंडर्ड्स होना ज़रूरी है. तो इसमें मैं थोड़ा सा आपको बता दूं कि क्या हो रहा है. हाँ, अब बिल्डिंग सेक्टर अभी नहीं है उसमें इंक्लूडेड, लेकिन होगा. लेकिन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस ने एक टास्क फोर्स बिठाई है जिसमें वो हर सेक्टर फॉर सेक्टर डेफिनेशंस बता रहे हैं ग्रीन की. तो एनर्जी की, ट्रांसपोर्ट की, एग्रीकल्चर की, इन लोगों ने ड्राफ्ट है, अभी रिलीज़ नहीं हुआ है. तो उसमें बहुत ये था कि बिल्डिंग्स को पहले लें, थोड़ा टाइम कम था लोगों के पास, कि एग्रीकल्चर को लें. तो बिल्डिंग्स, क्योंकि कंस्ट्रक्शन में आपका एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी बहुत ज़बरदस्त है ना, तो इसके अंदर सारी चीज़ें, और एमिशंस तो हैं ही. तो उन्होंने बोला कि ठीक है, ये हमारे प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर है, इसको हम नज़रअंदाज तो बिल्कुल नहीं कर सकते, सेकंड स्टेज में हम इसको लेंगे. तो डेवलपर्स जो हमसे पूछ रहे हैं वो तो डेफिनेटली ये है कि डेफिनेशंस अगर बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड हो तो इन्वेस्टर्स को अपील करती है. इन्वेस्टर्स दे डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू एनीथिंग रिस्की, राइट. तो उनके लिए जो डेफिनेशंस अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग होती हैं तो इट्स लाइक प्री ड्यू डिलिजेंस. तो उनके लिए ये हो जाता है, अच्छा ये सर्टिफाइड है, इसका मतलब ठीक जगह जा रहा है. तो ये सारा एक और कॉन्सेप्ट इसमें ये है आपके कि जो ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स वगैरह जो चीज़ें हैं, उसका जो मेन चीज़ है कि आपकी ट्रांसपेरेंसी होती है कि आपने जिस चीज़ के लिए पैसा उठाया है उस चीज़ के लिए पैसा जाएगा, ठीक है ना. इंटरनेशनली ऑफ कोर्स इन यूरोप देयर आर डेवलपर्स एंड अ लॉट ऑफ ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स इन दिस आर फॉर एनर्जी रेट्रोफिटिंग बिल्डिंग्स, ओके, इन यूरोप. क्योंकि उनके तो अब मॉर्गेजेस भी लिंक्ड हैं एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी सर्टिफिकेट्स का. उनका तो काफ़ी सारा वहाँ पर जो रिटेल इन्वेस्टिंग है, रिटेल प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, वो भी ग्रीन मॉर्गेजेस, फैनी में आप जानते हैं, सारे के सारे वो कर रहे हैं. अब मेरे ख्याल से ये अब शुरू हो गया है. इंडिया में भी मेरे 2-3 बैंक हैं इस तरह से जो काम कर रहे हैं. आपको ज़्यादा पता होगा उसके बारे में, कॉम्पिटिटर्स भी हैं कुछ तो ठीक है. हाँ, लेकिन अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग में बहुत कम लोग हैं. RBI का एक मैं बता देती हूँ. तो सुबह हमने बात करी फिजिकल क्लाइमेट की, फिजिकल रिस्क, हाँ, विच इज़ चेंजिंग एंड इट मीन्स देयर इज सर्टेन एक्सपोजर टू फाइनेंशियल कंपनीज. इट मीन्स इट बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लम और समथिंग टू टैकल फॉर द सेंट्रल बैंक ऑल्सो, क्योंकि वो पूरा फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर देख रहा है. दूसरी चीज जो कि हमने बात नहीं करी, जो कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसको बोलते हैं ट्रांजिशन रिस्क। वो कहाँ से आता है? पॉलिसी जल्दी जल्दी चेंज होने शुरू हो जाती है, ठीक है। तो आज का जैसे कि एग्जाम्पल एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन बिल 2022, करेक्ट, उसके अंदर पहले सिर्फ कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग्स थी, अब रेजिडेंशियल बिल्डिंग्स भी इंक्लूड कर लिया इन्होंने। तो डोमेस्टिक क्रेडिट मार्केट बनाना चाह रहे हैं वो लोग, एमिशंस डाउन करना चाह रहे हैं, रेजिडेंशियल को इंक्लूड कर लिया है। व्हाट डज इट ऑल मीन? कि जो डेवलपर ने, अगर उसका एक ग्रीन एसेट नहीं है और पॉलिसी चेंज हो रही है, तो उसका वैल्यू में डिप्रिसिएशन फास्ट आएगा। तो उस ट्रांजिशन रिस्क को आपको एक्नॉलेज करना पड़ेगा, और आरबीआई इसके ऊपर काम कर रहा है। उन सब लोगों ने, उस सब ने बैंक्स, उस आरबीआई ने कुछ बैंक्स को ये बोल दिया है कि आप अपने स्ट्रेस टेस्ट में आप अपना ये क्लाइमेट रेजिलियंस लाइए।
सो सिंपली इस चीज़ को बोलें कि अगर कल को आप बिल्डिंग, जब हमारी कोई प्राइसिंग होती है लोन की, वो एक तो कॉस्ट होती है, एक आपका इंडिविजुअल रिस्क है और बाकी अदर रिस्क हैं। तो उसमें जो क्लाइमेट रिस्क है भी एक हिस्सा हो जाएगा। वो कहेंगे अगर आपकी जो बिल्डिंग है, आपकी जब असेसमेंट होगी, लोन के पास, बैंक के पास फाइल जाएगी, वो देखेंगे अच्छा ये ग्रीन नहीं है, तो वो जो मैम बोल रही हैं तो वो उसमें बोलेंगे कि यार इसका 2% का प्रीमियम लगाओ इस पर, क्योंकि ग्रीन नहीं है, इसको 2% महंगा पैसा देंगे, क्योंकि हमें रिस्क है कि कल को इसके दिस विल बी अगेंस्ट, बिकॉज उनके बैंक के पोर्टफोलियो में उसको रिस्की एसेट माना जाएगा। अगर उनके पोर्टफोलियो में रिस्की एसेट माना जाएगा तो बैंक को भी आपको महंगा पैसा देना पड़ेगा। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर कोई ऐसी चीज़ होती है आज की डेट में, क्लाइमेट नहीं है पर दूसरी तरह के रिस्क हैं, जैसे यहाँ पे आरबीआई का नॉर्म है कि अगर आप सीआरई मतलब कमर्शियल रियल एस्टेट को फंड कर रहे हैं तो उसका रिस्क वेट ज़्यादा है, अगर आप हाउसिंग लोन फंड कर रहे हैं तो कम है। तो उसी तरीके से जो क्लाइमेट रिस्क है उसका भी एक प्रीमियम होगा, जो एक काइंड ऑफ रिस्क टैक्स आपके ऊपर लगेगा, तो आपको महंगा पैसा मिलेगा। सो ये एक बड़ा सिंपल तरीका है आपके लिए कि एंड कंज्यूमर को लिए क्या फ़र्क पड़ने वाला, तो वो दैट इज़ द काइंड ऑफ रिस्क यू विल हैव। द अदर थिंग आई एम सेइंग इज दैट आज आप अपना मोमेंटम एक दायरे में घूम रहे हैं आप, अगर आपको उस दायरे को बहुत बड़ा करना है अपने आप को, और अपने आप को एक बहुत बड़ा डेवलपर बनना है, तो आपको फाइनेंशियल इन्वायरमेंट को समझना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जो भी चीज़ है फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट से ही आप नेक्स्ट लेवल पे जा सकते हैं। अगर आप सोचते हैं मेरे को x से 10x जाना है और 50x जाना है, वो ऐसे नहीं होगा। एक प्रोजेक्ट, दो प्रोजेक्ट करके नहीं होगा। हर एक की अपनी एस्पिरेशन हो सकती है। मैं तो सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ कि अगर आपको स्केल चाहिए, बहुत बड़ा स्केल चाहिए, तो आपका जो वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट कॉस्ट जो होने वाला है वो ऑब्वियसली आपका फाइनेंशियल कॉस्ट होने वाला है, राइट? आज की डेट में आप काफ़ी चीज़ों पे, और वो हो सकता है कि अगर वो अच्छे से स्ट्रक्चर किया जाए किसी के साथ, शायद, मुझे नहीं पता, मे बी शी कैन कमेंट, इट कैन इवन स्टार्ट दैट दे कैन माइट फंड यू इवन एट अ एक्विजिशन लेवल। आज की डेट में आप मोस्टली जॉइंट डेवलपमेंट करते हो, जेडीए करते हो, राइट, अपनी कॉस्ट ऑप्टिमाइजेशन करने के लिए कि मेरा तो कुछ आप उसके लिए ज़रूरत से ज़्यादा पैसा छोड़ रहे हो लैंड डेवलपर के लिए एक्चुअली, राइट? क्योंकि मोस्टली हम देखते हैं जेडीए ही होते हैं, राइट? या अरेंजमेंट होता है इतने फुट तेरे को दे देंगे हम बाद में, राइट? तो वैसा होता है। बट इट इज़ आई थिंक इट इज़ एन एक्सपेंसिव प्रोपोजिशन, बट आप लो कैपेक्स पे काम कर रहे हैं तो इसलिए आप कर रहे हैं उसको। What I'm trying to say is that if you want to get into a next level, which I'm sure यहाँ पे इस ऑडियंस में कुछ ambitious लोग भी बैठे हैं उसको बड़े स्केल पे ले जाने के लिए, तो अल्टीमेटली हमारे को इंटरनेशनल मार्केट्स को भी अट्रैक्ट करने की क्षमता होनी चाहिए। उस क्षमता के लिए हमारे को ये चीज़ें समझना ज़रूरी है और अपना एक इन्वायरमेंट बनाना ज़रूरी है कि वहाँ से कैसा पैसा आ सकता है। ऑनेस्टली मैं आपको बताता हूँ, हम भी यही कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि भैया इंडियन बैंक से हम कितना पैसा ले लेंगे, इंडियन सिस्टम से कितना ले लेंगे। हम भी कोशिश करेंगे बाहर से, जैसे मैं एडीबी से आया, अब हम और 3-4 लोगों से बात करें कि उनसे कैसा है, तो उनमें हमें समझ आया सब लोग यही, जैसे प्रिया ने बताया, सोशली EWS LIG होना चाहिए, सस्टेनेबल होना चाहिए, विमेन के ऊपर आ रहा है, कुछ ऐसी स्टेट्स के लिए वो इनकरेज करें कि उस स्टेट में जाके आप लोन दो तो तभी होगा, राइट? तो हम भी अपने बिजनेस मॉडल को उस तरीके से उसको रीअलाइन कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि अगर फंडिंग सोर्स होगा और इफेक्टिव होगा और चीपर होगा तो फिर हम भी वी कैन डू मच बिगर स्केल ऑफ बिजनेस एंड मोर प्रॉफिटेबल बिजनेस। तो हमारी कहानी और आपकी कहानी कोई अलग नहीं है, सेम ही है, एक तरीके से आप देखना चाहें. So that is what we are trying to say. So I would say that we'll just have the concluding two remarks to conclude this. So Priya, what was it that lastly you would like to say to them basis the environment or ADB in general or anything of your personal choice?
Yeah, so concessional finance is one aspect. Of course, it's a very important aspect for you as developers to look into. But of course, we must not lose the bigger picture inside कि sustainable living is the more important part over here. कि आप लोग sustainable buildings बनाएंगे तो the livability of people all over the world and the houses that you construct improves, and that is for the betterment of the environment, for the betterment of everybody living in the society. So that is also something to think about, not just the finance aspect. Thank you.
थैंक यू प्रिया फॉर सेइंग दैट. मेरे ख्याल से कोविड-19 ने हम सबको बता दिया कि अगर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग होती और उसमें कंफर्ट होता तो जितना बड़ा क्राइसिस से हम गुजरे हैं उसका लेवल कम होता. और ये जो डिसीजेस हैं अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये कम नहीं होएंगी. हम एक एरा ऑफ पेंडेमिक में भी जा रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो ये सब रिलेटेड चीज़ें हैं. मैं सिर्फ ये कहना चाहूँगी कि आप क्वेश्चंस पूछें. आप क्वेश्चंस पूछें अपने आप से, आप क्वेश्चन पूछिए अपने लेंडर्स से, आप क्वेश्चंस पूछिए जिस एसोसिएशंस में आप बैठे हैं उनसे, क्योंकि वो रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे दो तीन चीज़ें कि इंसेंटिव्स कहाँ और कैसे होने चाहिए. बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट उन पे बात कर रही है और इंसेंटिव स्ट्रक्चर्स में जो ग्रीन एस्पेक्ट है वो आएगा. एंड द अल्टीमेट थिंग इज कि इंसेंटिव्स का मतलब सिर्फ एक टैक्स इंसेंटिव नहीं होता है, सिर्फ एक सॉप नहीं होता है. आपकी प्रोसेस कितना ज़्यादा स्ट्रीमलाइंड है, दैट्स ऑल्सो अ ग्रेट इंसेंटिव. कि अगर आप ग्रीन कुछ कर रहे हैं इसके प्रोसेस में आपको कुछ सुविधा मिले. तो engage policy and market work together for better policy, engage on these issues, and I think we'll land at a better place.
Thank you. I think आप ही की जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है क्रेडाई, इनका भी मीटिंग हुआ था अबू धाबी में, दुबई में, राइट? आपने पढ़ा होगा कि उनका न्यूज़पेपर में जो आर्टिकल आया कि उन्होंने कितने देव सेट असाइड सम $1 million HDFC के साथ मिलकर उन्होंने फंड बनाया स्टार्टअप्स ऑफ सस्टेनेबल हाउसिंग, राइट? तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम वहाँ टेक्नोलॉजीज़ और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को इनकरेज करेंगे जो इस सस्टेनेबल बिल्डिंग के लिए हेल्प कर सकते हैं किसी भी तरीके से. तो एक जिनको वो मिला है स्टार्टअप का अवार्ड, तो उनसे मैं कल एक्सचेंज करा था मैसेज, तो उन्होंने बताया कि देखो मेरे को अवार्ड मिला है. वो प्री फैब हाउसिंग में काम करते हैं, साउथ इंडिया में है वो, राइट? तो आप ही की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है क्रेडाई, उसने भी डिक्लेयर किया कि भाई हमारे को इवेंचुअली इंडियन रियल एस्टेट को सस्टेनेबल बनाना है. सो आई थिंक वो मैसेज सारी तरफ जा ही रहा है और हो ही रहा है. तो हम इसमें पीछे क्यों रहें और हम इसमें इग्नोरेंट क्यों रहें, मैं यही कहूँगा. एंड आई होप इस सेशन से आपको कुछ इंसाइट मिली होगी और आप घर जाके सोचेंगे कि मैंने अपने खुद को और अपनी कंपनी को आगे कैसे लेके जाना है. सो थैंक यू सो मच. थैंक यू.
Thank you. So that was a lot of insight. Thank you, Ms. Neha. Thank you, Ms. Priya. Thank you, Monu sir. So quickly we move on to our session 3. ये session काफ़ी interesting होगा because आप ही में से एक हमारे developer है who is associated with us from 2017, and we will have an interaction session with him. To moderate the same, I will invite Vismaya, who is our lead green value partner. So Vismaya, please.
Thank you, Abhishek, for the introduction. Sorry for my आवाज थोडा बसला आहे, but सकाळीच माधवीने मला सांगितलं की husky voice is in right now, so I'll go with it. Thank you, Madhvi, for giving me the confidence. So first session आपलं झालं in terms of the strategies of what a green building has. Then we had finance session. So next we'll move ahead with the projects, like on the project side, how we can actually get a green building certification and the process of it. So for that, I'll also like to request Mr. Rupesh Agarwal, sir, to be on stage. So Mr. Rupesh Agarwal is the managing director of Sara Group. With civil engineering background, he did his honors from Buckingham University in UK in 2004. He has looked over architectural planning, project execution and other facts of the company. So under his guidance, the company is scaling new heights with luxurious yet affordable housing units. He has also spearheaded the expansion of Sara Group in Pune. They also have a presence in Aurangabad. So their flagship project, Sara City, has 50 acres of township, which houses 75,000 dwelling units in Chakan, which is a huge number. And also the Sara Kasturi project, which was under our management, has received pre-certification award from IGBC in the month of August. So that's the reason we have him here to tell us about the process and everything. So we would take this session ahead. Thank you, sir. Audible? Yeah. So this is the project, Sara Kasturi project, which has, as I just mentioned that it has got green certification, gold level rating, pre-certification, and because of sir's support, we could actually, make it possible. So, sir, would you like to just brief us something about the project, like how did you make it?
First of all, I would like to thank IIFL only, because this green building certification, I had not even thought about it at the initial level when the project was getting planned. So IIFL approached me for green building certification, to which I was a little hesitant. थोड़ा सा nervous था कि यार इतना cost लगेगा green building certification में. So they actually told me that the costs are not too high, and then they actually analyzed everything and showed it to me that already most of the things are there in the regulatory norms. You have to make a STP, you have to make you have to put a organic waste converter, you have to do everything, rooftop solar, now new electrical vehicle charging points has to be given. So most of them are already there. So what extra are you spending? It was hardly anything. So then we decided to go ahead with the same for this project. Our project Sara Kasturi, which is seen here on the slide, we are making about 1,352 apartments, 1 and 2 BHK homes at Chakan. We have 5 towers, all are 14-story buildings. The plot size is approximately 5 acres. A lot of amenities we have planned, considering, like Mr. Lal said earlier in the presentation, that इन लोगों को stylish homes नहीं चाहिए. Affordable housing का मतलब ये नहीं है कि बहुत jazzy चीजें हमको देना है. I have been into affordable housing for last 25 years. My company is 25 years old. We have been doing more or less affordable housing throughout our tenure. Approximately 8,400 units, I would say, out of 8,500 have been affordable homes. हमने ये देखा है over a period of this tenure that इन लोगों को जो चाहिए वो बहुत basic चीजें हैं, but because in Aurangabad we don't even give clubhouse and everything. They only need basic amenities. They need a open space where the children can play, a festival lawn, which we usually don't provide. We just say as a landscape area or a green area. They need a festival lawn. It's just a change of philosophy, a name change. तो जहाँ वो लोग डांडिया है, गणपति है, ये सब festivals को celebrate कर सके, community आकर वहाँ पे celebrate कर सके. So we have tried to incorporate those things here. In Pune we do provide clubhouse. So what we have tried to do here is we have given a gated community, shaded pathways. We have used high SRI pavers in this project to adhere to the norms of IGBC. This will improve the temperature, as you guys were as the earlier panelists were saying, by 5% approximately. We are also providing high SRI coatings to rooftop areas, and gymnasium, clubhouse, and other things we are providing here. About the costs, so there are two factors. The developer gets some incentives. like someone said earlier that हम लोगों को ऊपर के जो floors होते हैं वो सस्ते में बेचना पड़ता है. अब हम अगर हमारे cost को compare करते हैं, ऊपर हमको 300 रुपीस स्क्वायर फीट का लगभग setback बैठता है. इस प्रोजेक्ट की अगर मैं बात करूं तो लगभग 40,000 का मेरा फ्लोर प्लेट है एक फ्लोर का. 300 rupees is approximately 1.2 crore rupees of revenue loss.
Right.
And if I compare to what I'm spending, I must be spending what, 50-60 lakh rupees on these things.
Exactly.
So it's still a profitable thing for us.
Yeah. So in short, I think what he's trying to say is that, I mean, there's a myth कि लोकांना असं वाटतं की green building certification करायला गेलो किंवा green building केली तर it's very expensive. But I think you just proved that it's not that expensive and अजून पण काही benefits आहेत जे आम्ही पुढे बोलूच. But this is somewhere a small math that you did, which actually tells that it's quite cheaper if you plan it at the right time. Yeah. So and I would consider also that you said that IIFL was the inspiration.
Absolutely,
to,
absolutely. I think
move ahead with it.
Absolutely.
So I think this is where we started. So we'll actually tell you what was the process, wherein we went ahead with the certification. So this process involves 5-6 simple steps. So these are first we have an initial assessment wherein we study the project that you have. Then we tell you की काय level of rating तुमच्या projectला मिळेल. Then तुम्ही काय target करू शकता rating level आणि काय cost implications येतील in terms of fees and consultancy cost. मग जर का तुम्ही interested असाल, then we'll go ahead with the MOU signing, which is it is an informal handshake between you and IIFL. त्याच्यानंतर if you're once the MOU is signed, we'll go for consultant hiring. So we have empaneled consultants with us. These consultants come they are benefit to you also because we have a standardized process with them in terms of payments also. So it's same for everybody. So they won't charge you more. Then we go for project registration with whatever kind of rating that you want to go for, which is beneficial for you. Then after that, we'll compile all the documents and then we go for pre-certification. So once you get to the pre-certification stage, you also start getting more benefits out of it. You get the certification and then you get additional benefits from the government as well as from IIFL. After that, there's a monitoring stage and the final certification stage. So all in all, you can actually get this done in 18 to 24 months. So this is if we follow it properly, we can actually reduce the span. So this is just a sample MOU that we have that you just have to sign and share it with us so that we can start with the process. These are the consultants that we have. As you can see, he has a prominent, well-known consultants pan-India. So when we approach, we get a project from you, we first see which consultants are the ones which are there working in your region, so that they don't have to they can come to your site and actually it's easier for them also to commute and guide you better. So that this is this number is still growing with us. We are empaneling more. We are continuing that. Then this is the discounted fee. So we have collaborated with IGBC. So that's one benefit that we give to developers, wherein the registration fees has 10% discount, and for pre-certification and final certification, you have discounts of 7.5 and 5%. So that depends on the fees that you have. So I think this was also availed by Sara Kasturi project. And so now we again move back to the project to discuss on it, what are the features, which was discussed in the first session also by Ebilal sir and Purva ma'am, that which benefits the residents, त्यांच्या comfortचा विचार केला जातो, and that if you take green certification, you'll definitely get it. So sir, would you like to brief on what you provided?
So while designing the project, so when IIFL approached me, it was a very initial stage. The project was not even planned. So while planning only, we considered most of the things. Affordable housing, more or less, most of the things are predetermined. You have fixed set of things that these are the things you are going to provide. So we have tried to provide a layout where 75% spaces have efficiency of cross ventilation. 75% of the house is cross ventilated, and approximately 92% of the space receives daylight. So that was the plan which was made in order to have cross ventilation within the flat. AAC blocks is now anyways mostly used by developers in Pune. Basically, it reduces a lot of costs. Cement and steel is saved. I think approximately 0.5 kgs per square feet to 0.75 kgs a square feet is reduced by using AAC block. So we have used that. We have provided 2 balconies in the apartment to increase the ventilation and this thing. The windows, as they said, we have kept it as minimum as possible to save our costs as well. So that's how we designed the overall layout of the flat.
I would also like to add something here. You can use this kind of layout and this kind of presentation to tell your clients, like the home buyers, that हे असं केल्याने your energy consumption will reduce, तुमचं light bill कमी येईल, because day lighting use करताय तुम्ही light कमी वापराल, because of properly ventilated spaces तुमचं AC चं bill कमी येईल, तुमचं AC usage कमी होईल because it will be more comfortable inside. Also AAC blocks reduce the heat gain, त्याचं heat gain कमी होतं आणि ventilation असल्यामुळे it's proper. So that is one of the marketing strategy which you can give to your clients, and it can help you get more sales, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah. Of course it's right. I mean, I wouldn't say that, there are many factors which you can tell these guys while, and increase your sales. For example, this efficiency, as you said, use of green systems like LED lighting saves a lot of light, consumption of energy is reduced. STP anyways has to be provided, because without which the corporation body doesn't issue you a completion certificate. Environmental Clearance Agency, EC, they also ask you for a sewage treatment plant. So that saves approximately 30% of water if treated. So there is a lot of saving for them. We have also used, we are proposing to use water saving fixtures, which the earlier panelists also said, that at the time of purchase, you can actually think of buying this, and you can tell them that as it's a prerequisite, and the buying price will be almost same. At the initial level, if you plan this, the taps can come with a low flow fixtures. So that is what we are providing. We are providing wet and dry waste bins also. As when they are taking possession of the flats, we'll be providing all these things to the people and try and educate them to segregate the waste at the house level also only. We are providing organic waste converter, solar water heaters. Now that's one question which I always have. So we have been debating with one of our consultants that why is it that they want us to provide only solar water heaters? Affordable housing का सबसे बड़ा problem आता है maintenance cost. जब हम लोग STP provide करते हैं, organic waste converters provide करते हैं, इसका electricity cost is too high. I had a proposal that we should actually go for solar PV. The cost would be same. Rather than providing a solar water heater, आदमी घर में electricity bill भर देगा. But common का electricity, वो तो high-end societies में भी जाओ, people are reluctant to pay that maintenance cost, a certain percentage. In affordable housing, it's much higher. So what happens? In due course, the STPs, they shut it down. The water requirement again increases. They are spending almost similar cost by bringing more water inside. And in summers, they have to bring it through tankers, because we operate in places where the corporation water is not there. So they have to rely on borewells. They have to rely on Gram Panchayat sources of water. So the water requirement increases because of these things. So that is one question which is not yet answered. I think the panelists can answer me that later on during the lunch session. Thank you.
Yeah, that was actually a good point that you have mentioned. So yeah, so with this, I'll just tell you what is the 3 stages. Sorry. Yeah. Am I audible now? Yeah. So I think it was a good point that Sir has actually mentioned, and he has already provided those benefits, and that the project will ensure that the residents are also getting those. With this, I'll just brief what are the 3 stages of getting a certification. So as in GVP, we do complete handholding. आम्ही तुम्हाला support करतो from from this conceptual stage to final certification. पहिली एक stage आहे, which is a milestone we can say, is pre-certification, wherein, as I mentioned before, कि इकडून तुम्हाला चालू होते benefits मिळायला. Government provides benefits after you get the certification, which is a valid proof कि your intentions are to do it. Now, Sara Kasturi project has already got the pre-certification. They are at monitoring stage, which is where they are actually implementing whatever they have proposed in their project. And once the implementations are done, and when the project is completed, they'll go for final certification, which will be the actual certification of the project. So here are the benefits which even the government as well as IIFL is offering. So from the government's end, we have fast track clearance of environment. Like MOA offers fast track clearance if your project is more than 20,000 square meters. Then the additional FSI benefits are there, wherein Maharashtra government is offering 3%, 5% and 7% of incentives over the different rating levels that you would achieve in IGBC, Griha as well as Edge. Then there are premium discounts over for the Griha and Swagriha projects by the government by PCMC, Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation. And there is also income tax rebate, ATIAB, which is kind of like an income tax holiday. So आता सध्या I guess बंद झालाय, but it will again reinitiated by the government. त्याच्या व्यतिरिक्त we have IIFL's benefits, wherein we offer reduced ROI on construction finance of the projects. Then with association with ADB, then we have 0.2% of discounted ROI for home buyers on the retail projects. Like if your project, just project is pre-certified, so the home buyers in his project will get 0.2% discount on ROI, and there is a reimbursement like on the fees and the consultancy charges. So if you give us enough proof that you have done the payments, we'll give you the reimbursement. So sir, what was
I've
your
already received that
experience?
reimbursement. Thank you very much.
And how was your experience regarding the 0.2% discounted ROI? What is the
I think
response on
this is one thing which will drive your sales. 0.2% incentive for the home buyer is huge. Right now the ROIs are increasing, and even a 0.2% saving. Affordable housing में एक चीज होती है कि it's very hand to mouth this thing. Their EMIs and the cost of living is very cut to cut.
Yes.
So even a 0.2% saving will help them save a lot of money over a period of 20 years. I think this is one factor where the sales numbers can definitely increase over a period of time.
Yeah. So
FSI benefit, I think on the gold rating, it's 5% of the FSI. I have not applied for it. My project, only one tower is sanctioned. So in future, I think it's not just 5% FSI, 5% plus, I think 60% ancillary FSI is also what you'll be able to get on that. So mathematically, it's going to be more. So that is additional incentive what the developers will get.
plus मुझे लगता है कि इनका already height ज़्यादा है building का. So as Avila sir has restricted us कि कम रखो. The benefit.
वो builder के लिए mathematics जमता ही नहीं है.
Yes. Yeah. And so next, I think Neha ma'am has also always, mentioned before कि net zero करना है, तो वो net impact होता है. In GDP, we actually have, taken out, predicted how much impacts we are causing, like how much savings we are causing, how much impact, negative impact we are reducing. आणि मराठीमध्ये एक म्हण आहे, पुणे तिथे काय उणे. So ते खरं आहे खरं तर, but I think इकडे पण आपण थोडाफार negative impact कमी करू शकतो. इकडे पण ते उणं काढू शकतो. So as I'll just tell what we have done, it's like there is one final certified project that we have done so far. Then we have 25 pre-certified projects under us. Out of these, because of these pre-certified projects, we have been able to save 758 megaliters of total water savings. And that is also, then we have 13,129 megawatt hours of energy savings, which is actually helping us in reducing 12,079 tons of carbon emissions. आणि जर का बघायला झालं तर इन महाराष्ट्र सो देर आर 2 pre-certified projects. त्यातलं सारा कस्तुरी एक आहे आणि दुसरं यशोधन द्वारिका धाम म्हणून आहे. So because of these 2 projects, we were able to save 71 megaliters of water, then 1,222 megawatt hours of energy savings. आणि त्याच्यामुळे we could say reduce the 1,125 tons of carbon emissions, which is also a good number if you keep on making more green buildings. So जर का तुम्हाला पुढे इंटरेस्ट असेल, I hope की हा session must have encouraged you. You can get in touch with us. This is our GVP team. We have regional GVP members in each region, north, west, south. And we have Anna Joffe here. She was there at the GVP desk. And there's Santosh Ramkumar and Vamsidhar Nukala also there. You can go and meet them. Dusri goshta manje, we also have a green handbook at the GVP desk. So you can go through it, take it with you. त्याच्यामध्ये आणखीन details आहेत regarding how to get green certification done. And there's also our SR book, and I guess we also have some display of green materials that are there in market. So तुम्हाला काही questions असतील तर you can go and ask and get in touch with us also. I think I won't take much of your time. With this, we are done with the session. So you have any? Thank
you so much. I would like to tell the fellow developers also, give an opportunity to IIFL to at least analyze the project and explore if your project can fit into at least gold rating, which will not shell out much of a cost. And green building is, as the earlier panelist said, Monu sir said, and that tomorrow if you need funding going in future, why not start investing from now? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Rupesh ji. Thank you, Vismaya. Now, for the closing remarks, I would like to call our zonal head, Mr. Dhaval Mehta.
पुणेकर नमस्कार सगळ्यांना and namaste aap sabko and good afternoon to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. JP Shroff, our chief guest, who is not there right now, and our MD CEO Mr. Monu Ratra, and all the dignitaries and speakers out here, and all the delegates, right? And मुझे सिर्फ now we just need to conclude this event, but इसमें 2-3 चीज़ें बोलनी है. I was waiting. We were actually Maharashtra team were waiting for this Kutumb event since long time, and finally this is happening. And I personally got a chance, to hear many things. I learned many things from you all. I personally have more interest towards this because my wife, she's an architect, so she gives me a little bit knowledge every day. She's an architect, I'm a banker, so I learn every day, right? And with developer, we have to just go hand to hand with green housing. So we can conclude this event by saying that कि मैं बोलना चाहूँगा कि समुद्र का जो जल स्तर है वो बढ़ रहा है. अगर आप पुणे भी देखोगे, when I visited Pune long back in 2003-04, the temperatures were so different. Now it is 2022-21. It's like we feel the heat, right? It's changing. Time is changing. So if we don't control this now, like temperature is rising 1.5%. And if we don't control now, maybe in next 100 years, inhabitable ho jayega. And especially India. And economy also, India will be affected more. So we just need to contribute more in green housing and affordable housing. And I feel as a family, we financial institution and developers, we should work as a family and work as a Kutumb. That's what we need. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhawal sir. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time. Now we come together outside and meet over lunch. Thank you.